Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, I know I'm a little late on this, guys, at least by a week for sure, but I wanted to sit down and enjoy this movie with a good friend of mine, Bidwell Fogg, who I think he's guest starred a couple of times on the podcast. If you haven't seen him here, you probably seen him on my gaming content here on YouTube. But I want to sit down and watch this movie with him because this movie in particular we're talking about today is one of his favorite in the franchise, and I can understand why. It's one of my personal favorites. Not the favorite, but one of my favorites, at least in the top 5 for sure. But we are talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. I figured this would be a fantastic movie to end our Summer Horror Fest on. It's been a blast talking about all these fun-filled summer horror movies and TV shows and whatnot and who not and whatever we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. But I have enjoyed it. It's definitely going to be a staple from the podcast from here on out. But yeah, no, the reason, like I said, guys, is I want to sit down and watch him because, you know, he can add some great commentary, some things I haven't thought of, and also some little extra fun facts I didn't realize I didn't know, but it does help out, especially on the podcast here. But unfortunately, he's packing up at the moment, so he couldn't join us for this podcast. Or not packing up, but unpacking. He moved into a new place, so it's going to take him some time. But maybe when we do the Friday the 13th ranking video, which I do plan on doing that, I'm not quite sure when, hopefully he'll be able to join us on that one, and we can have a good time chit-chatting, talking about all these Friday the 13th movies. But this one in particular, I have fond memories of watching this one as a kid. I really do, especially in the early 2000s when AMC was doing their 31 Nights of Halloween specials and everything. I remember this one coming on a lot. I don't know why this one in particular came on a lot, but I remember just enjoying it from beginning to end. It wasn't that scary. Like don't get me wrong, it had its moments. Like there's some moments in here that as a kid kind of scared the shit out of me. That always happens. But mainly because of the way this particular movie is made, there's a lot more comedic effects to it. So, you get scared and you get like a good chuckle. And, especially with a lot of the meta humor and some of the kind of fourth wall breaking jokes, which we only see like I think 1 or 2 of those. But this one came out in 1986. Following the not so successful, but successful enough to make a sequel, Friday the 13th Part 5. We all know Part 5. Part 5 is like everybody's least favorite. I think I know one guy who likes Part 5, and I know him because I know a guy who knows him who likes 5, and we all look at him like, bro, what's wrong with you? Like, seriously, did you not get enough loving in your life? Because Part 5 is not even like a Jason movie. It's like a joke on a Jason movie. It's very insulting in some aspects. But I understand where they were going at it, with the whole, we're going to step away from Jason, make Tommy the lead. You think that, actually, I don't know which one came out first, because they tried the same ass ending, same ending and everything. And Halloween 4, Return to Michael Myers. Remember the end? Jamie was standing there in the costume, holding the scissors. Loomis standing there with a gun, going, "No, no, oh my God!" Yeah, same thing. So I wonder who copied who on this one. I will have to go back and double check my numbers on this one. I'm not sure which one came out first. But the point is, I see where 5 was going at it. I was not excited about it because, I mean, Friday the 13th is Jason. Yes, we got the first one that had his mother. I thought that was a good introduction, especially with the whole canon reason of why Jason is killing these kids. Granted, though, I'm still kind of confused about, if he drowned as a kid, why is he an adult now? Like, there's so many questions here that we can never really get a full answer to. But the point is, that was a good setup for better movies that came. 2, 3, and 4 were really, really good. Especially 4. 4 is my personal favorite, to be honest. Like, straight up, 4 is my favorite. But 5 is like a step back in the wrong direction, especially for Friday the 13th. So when it came to 6, they were just like, no, guys, we got to have Jason back. We got to bring Jason back. And I want to say Tom, I'm going to try to pronounce his name. I have repeated it multiple times, and I'm still not sure if I'm saying his name correctly. McLaughlin, Tom McLaughlin, he did actually some episodes for Nightmare on Elm Street's TV show, and also with Friday the 13th's TV show as well. And I forget the name of that first movie that really set his career off, but yeah, he's only done a handful of psychological horror movies and stuff like that. He was not a big fan of slashers, and the reason he even got this movie was because he was friends with the guy who helped produce this movie. Oh crap, what is his name? Mashad. I wrote it down somewhere. I got it in here somewhere. But yeah, he's good friends with that guy who's a producer on April Fools. And he was supposed to get writing, directing credits there, but unfortunately something came up. Schedules got rewritten somewhere, and he lost the project and wound up going to When a Stranger Calls director. But yeah, because he ended up losing that movie and he was very disappointed in that, they gave him Friday the 13th Part 6, and again, he was not a big fan of a lot of slashers. And I don't think he was a big fan of a lot of stuff slashers entailed with. I don't mean the blood, guts, and gore. I mean, one of the biggest attributes that are in this movie, or at least in the franchise, we always see is what happens when people have sex? What happens when people get naked? Smoke weed? Do drugs? Jason shows up and kills them. He's just like, no. Tom's just like, no, we're not doing that anymore. Thus is why this is actually the first Friday the 13th in the entire franchise to not have a single ounce of nudity. Period. At all. There's not even a side titty or like half a nipple. No, there is no nudity. Yes, there is a sex scene, but we don't really see anything. We see the RV rocking and stuff, and we'll get there when we get there, especially if you never seen the movie, which, again, this movie came out in 1986. I understand you've never seen Jason or any of the Friday the 13th movies or any of the Jason movies. But spoiler alert, guys, just in case y'all haven't seen it. I don't know who hasn't seen it, but there's some people out there in this world that have not seen Friday the 13th Part 6. So spoiler alert, guys, for the entire movie. But we'll get there when we get there when it comes to the RV scene and everything, because I do enjoy that. But Tom wanted to add his own flair to it, and like I said, he didn't want a lot of nudity because he thought that the whole, if you have sex thing was just stupid. He really just thought it was just stupid, and he's like, that's sending a bad message. You're telling people to have abstinence, otherwise this guy's going to come kill you. So he ended up changing that around. He changed up, of course, Jason himself. Now Jason is an undead superhuman with immense powerful abilities. And I am one of those people, like a lot of people, that believe 100% Jason teleports. I know Matt Pat's got this whole argument about how, he's just athletically inclined and all this shit. No, I don't believe that, okay? There's too much knowledge I have to prove that Jason does teleport, okay? Like, this movie actually shows you how he teleports, okay? Like, I don't give a shit about any kind of physics. Oh, well, it's possible. No. He's an undead motherfucker with more powers than God himself in some aspects, especially with his strength and his wits. You tell me that man cannot fucking teleport? The man came back to life being struck down by lightning like he's Frankenstein. You're telling me this man cannot teleport? No, I don't believe it. He teleports. He teleports, and this movie helps proves it. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, because Tom, he changed all these attributes. He also added a lot of meta humor. He also brought in the fourth wall breaking. And he brought in not only some gothic horror, which is some shit he really likes. Like, he's a big fan of gothic horrors. But he also brought in some action scenes, which we don't really see any at all when it comes to the previous Friday the 13th. Because think about it, a lot of them were straightforward horror films, I want to say like 2 didn't really take place too terribly much outside the cabins themselves, so there's really no point in having dramatic like car chase scenes or shootouts and stuff. I mean, hell, I don't think even the police show up till the end of most of these movies. So this was actually, if you think about it, one of the only Friday the 13th that actually had cops be actively active in the movie and not just sitting around twiddling their thumbs or just like picking up fucking what's his face, Mr. Chrissy from Friday the 13th. I think that's the only time we saw a cop in Friday the 13th. One was when he was helping Mr. Chrissy out. I don't think 2 really had any cops. Don't really remember 3 having any cops at all either. I know 4. Yeah, I want to say all the cops show up at the end. So yeah, I stand at my point here still. This is the only movie that had the cops actively doing shit in this. This also is the only movie that has an active running summer camp. And don't give me that bullshit about Friday the 13th one where we see all the kids hanging around the campfire singing Hallelujah. Like, don't say, oh, that was active. Yeah, that was the opening, though. And then after that, we never saw that camp open and ready for kids ever again. Like, they were already working on it. Like, they're just setting it up, getting it ready. This movie actually had the summer camp starting. And I was super excited to see that there was kids in this movie when I was a kid. Because I was like, Jason's never been around kids. What's going to happen? That really added a lot of edge to it. Now that I'm older and I've seen this movie multiple times, I still can appreciate the intense factor of Jason walking around scaring the shit out of these kids accidentally and or on purpose. And we'll get there when we get there, but Jason definitely scared that one girl on purpose. But this movie, funny enough, when it came out, of course it grossed $19.4 million on a $3 million budget. So it made money. But it still wasn't the highest grossing Friday the 13th at the time. Hell, it actually made even less money than Part 5, which I think Part 5 made like $22 million or something like that. But this was also the only Friday the 13th movie at the time that had like a whole bunch of praise. Critics liked it, audience liked it. Here was the problem with the movie. And it was the timing. So it got the shit luck of the shit stick, I'm going to be honest. So basically, it came out a week after Alien came out, but a week before The Fly. 2 of the biggest horror movies of the time. And it got stuck in the middle. And unfortunately, because it's a 6th movie of a horror franchise that was already losing steam, of course people aren't going to sit down and watch it. Especially if you have Alien and then The Fly, like, why would you want to sit down and watch a Jason movie, especially after the 5th one being so disappointing, And this was back in the 80s, so it's not like, you could go on YouTube and start looking the shit up going, was this movie any good? No, there was no such thing. You could read it on articles, reviews in the newspapers or on television, but to hear it from everyday audiences, no, that really wasn't much of a thing. But I do like the direction Tom, brought into this. He had a lot to deal with, especially trying to retcon some of this bullshit from 5 because they did make a mention that, Jason was cremated. And they originally had a plan of some scenes that got deleted where throughout the movie, you find out Jason was secretly buried and not really cremated because somebody paid off the city. And the plot twist is, it's Jason's dad, and his name was supposed to be Ellis. And he looked just like Jason, apparently. You know, very tall, you know, big shoulder build and everything. And, you know, he was supposed to be the reason why Jason, you know, didn't get cremated, and he got, you know, buried in a nice plot in the cemetery. But unfortunately, Tom, looking at that, was just like, I don't want to add any new characters. Fuck it, scrap the idea. You know, this ain't gonna work for me. You know, we don't really have time to deal with this shit. Okay, not like in that cold, harsh manner, but he did make a mention that he just didn't want to bring in any kind of new characters and deal with the backstories and trying to figure these characters out and how they fit into everything. And I can get that, because at this point in the movie franchise, Jason's dad really hasn't been mentioned, like, at all. Like, we know about his mommy issues. We don't know about daddy, though. And I think it would have been a nice kind of, like, I don't know, like, maybe a full circle moment or some kind of closure. But just to see that his dad did somewhat care for him, at least enough to put his ass into the ground and pay for it and everything. But, you know, that's just me. But before we get into some more fun facts, let's talk a little bit about the cast members. We have some interesting cast members. I'm not going to lie. Of course, we have... who played Carter? Carter, the guy who played Carter, his name's Tom Friendle. He's John Travolta's cousin. I didn't know that. And when I got told the information and I was rewatching it with Bidwell, I was looking at him like, yeah, no, he definitely is like John Travolta through and through. Like, I see him emulating his uncle here. Like, it was great. But we got Thor Matthews, who plays Tommy. Of course, anybody who's played the Friday the 13th game does recognize his voice, because he also played Tommy in the video games. We got Jennifer Cook, who played Megan. Fabulous actress. She was very fun. Very fun. Funny enough, though, she was picked because of her TV series that she was on called V. I don't really remember V. I remember watching the remake of it. I don't remember watching the old school version of it, but I heard it was a really good show. But yeah, apparently her acting chops in that movie and the fact that she was a beautiful blonde, that's coming from the director himself. He wanted a beautiful blonde woman to play the final girl, and that's why she got picked. She was beautiful and she can act. And you gotta give him credit. In this movie, not only is this like a big ass cast, but they're all really, really good actors. Like, you know, they don't like go dive into so much like character development. You know, it's a typical Friday the 13th movie. We get to like the basics of everybody's names, information, but nobody's a stereotype here. It's just everybody's free game. Everybody's up on the chopping block to die, and everybody's, you know, kooky and wacky in their own kind of charismatic way. And I like that. You know, they're individuals. You know, and I say that because you look back through a lot of the other Friday the 13th, especially like in 5. I'm going to beat this asshole. 5 had some of the most gratuitous nudist moment and some of the crazier, like, off-the-wall dialogue choices and character development that I just did not make. Like, I couldn't tell you a single thing about some of these characters. Like, I just know, okay, we got the goth girl. We got the rebel. We got the crazy fat guy on a bicycle. We got the crazy fat guy's mother screaming about chicken. We got the EMS guy. We got Tommy. And we got Reggie. Like, I know Reggie. I couldn't tell you much about the final girl in the last movie either. Like, I really couldn't. Because a lot of these characters mesh together. And that's the thing about a lot of the older Friday the 13th, is that they all played stereotypes because, you know, it was the old school slasher movies. That was just the thing you did, you know, just, you got your slutty blonde, your smart brunette, you got this, you got that, you know, just classic maneuvering when it comes to horror movies. And Tom wanted to step away from that, especially with the writing here. And even though some of these characters are only here for a short amount of time, they all make their own wonderful little impact, and I absolutely love it. But C.J. Grahams actually plays Jason Voorhees in this movie. He was third to pick because I think the first guy they picked, he was like, nah, I'm not interested. The second guy they picked was Bradley. He was in one scene of this movie, which is the paintball scene with the guys being decapitated and all the daytime scenes. But apparently people in the studio didn't like his build. They thought, and I quote this from them, he put on some weight. So they didn't like his build for the Jason, so they fired him. I'm like, I seen that scene. He looked good. Like, I don't see where he put on weight. Like, I thought he was a very slimmy looking Jason myself. But they got CJ in here. He they didn't originally want him because he had no acting talent up to this point. So he was kind of risk of a gamble. But he did this skit in the Illusionary show. And it was Jason busting through a wall. So they put him in the costume, made him bust through the wall. And he did it so cleanly and so nicely. They looked at him and just like, hey, when I do my next Friday the 13th movie, I'm going to call you. And they called him. So I like that. David Kangan plays Sheriff Mike. We got Carrie Nuna, who plays Paula. I like Paula. She was a nice girl. Renee Jones, who plays Sissy. She was super cute. Love her. She's actually one of my favorite characters. And actually has one of the cooler deaths of this movie that was actually added in. And we'll get there when we get there. Of course, we talk about Tom, who played Carter. Darcy DeMoss, who played Nikki. Now, here's something that I was looking up during their filmography. Bidwell made a comment about how Tom wanted to make a sequel to Friday the 13th. Like, he actually has something in plan and in mind. And according to Bidwell, he didn't think anything came of it. But while I was looking some of the filmography up, apparently Darcy came back to play Nikki in a Friday the 13th movie called Friday the 13th Vengeance Bloodline or something like that. It came out in 2022. I don't know any information about it. I'm going to have to Google it later. But, yeah, I'm curious to see if that has anything to do with Tom and if he did anything with that. And if so, good. He made that sequel he wanted. Funny enough, Nancy, Tom's wife, is in this playing Elizabeth, who is the girl couple who gets killed with the beetle, or while they're in the beetle. We all know the scene, the MasterCard scene, and if you don't, we'll get there when we get there. And that's also a little fun fact. That's also some of the weird humor he has in this movie. He wanted to create certain jokes to be set up for the audience, especially with the MasterCard one. I want to say at the time, I don't think people do it a lot anymore because, it's not even like a taboo thing or anything. It was just a dumb joke that I think died out eventually. But, back in the day, they had commercials with MasterCards or Express cards, and they're like, yeah, MasterCards, never leave home without it. I mean, hell, even Batman and Robin did something that with the Bat credit card. And he said he never leaves the cave without it. But he wanted to make those type of jokes because he knew if they lingered on that shot for a minute, there would be some dumbass in the audience to go, never leave home without it, and make everybody chuckle in the theater. And that's what he wanted to do. That's really what he wanted to do. And I commend him for making those types of jokes. Because they're not like all over the place and in your face, but there's a certain amount of jokes that really, they land. They land very well to me. We have, of course, Alan Blunfield, who played Larry. Did not know this. He played Harvey in The Ring. Didn't know that. And he was in The Righteous Kills. I love that movie with Al Pacino in it. Oh, yeah, great movie. Love it. Anna Ralston, who plays Kate. We got Ron Pilato, who played Alan. Of course, Vincent, who played Deputy Rick. Michael Swan, who played Officer Peppers. Pappas. And, of course, a bunch of other fantastic actors who did real good jobs, especially the kid actors. I love the kid actors. The kid actors were on point with their comedic timings. I'm not even going to lie. I love them. Usually kids in horror movies irk the hell out of me because of their stupidity. But these kids were on point with their acting and their funniness. I love it. But yeah, the writing is great in this movie. The characters really shine, especially, like I said, the acting. You know, they may be on the screen for a little while, but it's really good. It's really, really good, and you can definitely tell each of these characters apart. But let's dive into some fun facts before we dive into the movie. So, apparently, because, you know, we're 6 films in, people know how the MPA is and everything. Tom was ahead of the curve and thought of this in advance, but he shot every death scene just about 3 times. And his 3 times was like, one was like PG-13, one was like rated R, and the one was like, I'm assuming it was a hard X, and he, I guess, would submit one and then see which one they rejected, and he would just swap it out. And I think that's actually very clever, especially after, you know, like the bullshit with Scream. Granted, that was like many years later, because Scream came out in the mid-90s. But he knew about the MPA and how they like destroy Friday the 13th. Like, they really do. I do not like Friday the 13th. Like, that's one of their least favorite movies to review, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, he thought ahead of the curve, went ahead, filmed 3 different death scenes for everybody, just to have a variation, so in case one scene was rejected, he could just replace it with another one. Of course, he wanted over-the-top kills and some unrealistic humor and everything because of the fact that, you know, this is just him. This is his style, the way he wanted to, like, relax the audience, make them scared, and make them laugh at the same time. I mean, hell, that's why we had that weird James Bond opening. But fun fact, when he was talking to the producers about this movie, he was like, yeah, I want to add some comedy, some humor to this. And they're like, yeah, you can do that. Just don't fuck with Jason. Like, straight up, they said not to make Jason funny. Like, don't mess with the boy. And he was like, done deal. So that's why Jason is played pretty straight as per usual, but everybody else kind of had a good comedic tone to everything. Funny enough, though, like I said about Friday the 13th Part 5, because it did make money, even though it was one of the worst Friday the 13th ever, they originally planned to make this sequel. It was supposed to be a direct sequel, of course, from the 5th movie, and we were supposed to have Reggie and Pam. That's the name of the final girl in the 5th movie, Pam. I always forget about her. And I shouldn't, because my mother's name is Pam. But Pam and Reggie are supposed to die in the opening of this movie. Thank God we didn't get to see that, because I did like Reggie. He was a little annoying, yes, but I liked Reggie. I thought he was one of the only characters that really stood out the most out of everybody, even more than the fucking final girl. But, yeah, so, because nobody was really feeling that, nobody really was on board with it, especially when they called back a lot of the actors to let them know, hey, we may not be going in this direction. Too many of them were on board to go, great, we're not involved, especially the actor who played Tommy in the 5th movie. And it wasn't the fact that, you know, he didn't want to pursue Tommy anymore. It was just the fact that he just didn't want to pursue acting anymore. After the bad taste and animosity people felt about 5, he was looking at the situation and was like, do I really want to go back and do this? Or do I want to focus on going to, I forget what kind of school he wanted to go to, but he wanted to go to school. So he decided to go to school over going back into the role of Tommy, which I can commend him for. You know, education is very important. Again, like I said, Tom insisted the final girl had to be a very attractive blonde. That's why, Cook was hired to be Megan in this movie. That, and again, she's a talented actress. We had, again, the no nudity thing. Funny enough, Mancino, that's the name of the producer, by the way, Mancino. He's the one that didn't like Bradley and said that he put on too much weight and needed to forego the movie. He also tried to convince the chick who played Carter's girl in the RV to be topless during the scene, and everybody was just like, yeah, no, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing that at all. So that is why we have no nudity. It's because of Tom and everybody else on board just not feeling the nudity, which again, I can commend a horror movie for not showing nudity. My feelings are never hurt if I don't see a side tit, okay? Like, dead ass. Like, if there's nudity in a horror movie, fantastic. I'm a happy human being. If there's not, fantastic. I'm still a happy human being as long as it's still a good movie. And hell, even with nudity, as long as it's a good movie, I'm a happy human being. Like, seriously, y'all would be surprised how many horror movies I watched where the only thing they had going for them was the nudity. And it's just like, okay, can we, like, do something with this? I get it. She's got a hot body. She's good looking. We're about to sacrifice her to Satan and all that. But can we speed this along? Can we add some more plot development here? You know, we've been watching y'all have sex for the past 20 minutes now. But speaking of pushbacks and everything, so they, during this filming of this movie, were having problems with some of the union workers because they were in a right to work state. So they ended up moving the entire filming down to Covenant, Georgia. You know, not too, I don't know how far it is from me personally, but Covington is not that far from Atlanta. Atlanta's roughly about a 2-hour drive from me, so, you know, it could be about 2.5, 3 hours. Could be shorter in length from me. But yeah, they filmed it here in Covenant, Georgia, which I had no problems with. They film a lot of horror movies in Covenant, Georgia. Covenant is a very good place to do a lot of old school horror movies, especially very rustic feel. It's very small town charm, out there in the middle of the woods kind of thing. It's a very nice place. But besides filming there, they did have to film the boat scenes underwater in a different pool because you cannot film, because a lot of the shots in the movie were at night. You can't really film a fight scene underwater at night in an actual lake, so they ended up having to film it in a different pool. And one of the pools was Tom's father's place. He wanted to get the scene where Jason's face basically gets mangled by the boat propeller. So he went to his father's pool, did it, and then fucked up the pool filtration system. Good job, Tom. You ruined your parents' pool, but that was a great shot. Very, very worth it. Once they got done filming the movie, though, they, you know, showed it to everybody, and of course everybody had their good reactions, and Tom was just like, I hope everybody likes this. You know, they're laughing, they're screaming, they're laughing, they're cracking up, they're screaming. I like this. And they went up to the producers and they're like, yeah, no, it was a good movie. We enjoyed it. Add 3 more death scenes, though. And Tom was a little disappointed because he purposely had 13 deaths in this movie as a little, you know, wink and a nod to Friday the 13th itself. So he was a little disappointed. So he ended up going back and retouching up some more scenes. I think it was Sissy's death scene was extended because originally she ended up just being pulled out the window, and that's the last we see of her, and then we find her head later in the cop's car. But he added the scene where we see her get pulled out the window. Jason grabs her and then twists her head back. Like, I love that death scene. It's one of my favorites. Next to the sheriff's back breaking. Beautiful, beautiful death scenes. They also added the engaged couple and the death of the gravedigger because he was alive originally for that ending with Jason's dad, but since they cut that out, they went ahead and killed him. They went ahead and straight up killed him. So that added more, and according to some people, there was actually 19 deaths in the movie, but some of those got trimmed out and cut out, which again I can kind of see coming from the MPA. Of course, we had a few different endings for the movie that a lot of people weren't sure how to really feel about. So we ended up scrapping both these ideas and went out with our OG ending where we have, you know, we look under the water, Jason's floating there, and we just see his eye, you know, just sitting there twitching and shit. But one of the endings had it to where Jason's mask, you know, ended up floating up onto the surface of the lake, and, you know, it foretold, oh, Jason's dead, no more movies, they ain't coming back. And then the other one was, we go back to the cop that got locked up by Megan and Tommy before they went out to the campsite. And as he's reaching for the keys, somebody busts through the door and it cuts to black. And of course, everybody was like, that's too ambiguous. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. We know we need Jason alive in the next movie. Because they were pretty confident they were going to, you know, make their money back, which they did. Still wasn't as good in money-wise compared to 5, which fucking sucks. It truly does. But, yeah, I don't mind the ending we got. I think the ending we got for the movie was, just another, oh my god, Jason still lives. Could we have another movie? Who knows? We know. We know. We all know. There was 7, there was 8, there was 9, there was 10. Don't forget Freddy vs. Jason, and then the remake. Still missing one more to make Friday the 13th movie. Like, seriously, I hope the TV show's good. I really do. Be definitely a good tie-in to Friday the 13th. I know we want 13 movies, but damn it, this might be the best option we have for now. So, another little fun fact is the fact that Tommy's script, besides getting rid of the Ellis idea, Jason's dad, basically his script stayed the same throughout the entire process. There really wasn't that much change to it at all, which, kudos, man, kudos. The RV crash scene, I learned a little fun fact about this scene. So, they had beef, like everybody had beef. Apparently, director, actors, everybody had beef with a guy named Don Burns, who was their budget guy. And he apparently was a notorious cheapskate and basically was holding off money and making them like rush through scenes and everything. So when it got to this RV scene, Don wanted that swamp cooler that was on top of the RV. And they're just like, why do you want it? Oh, I just want it for my RV, so take it off before you film the scene. Okay, Don. They did not do that at all. They did not. They actually left it on the RV when it crashed, and you can see it crashing. You actually see it tumbling when the RV fucking crashes and everything. It was funny as hell. And it got destroyed. I don't know how well Don took that. I'm sure he didn't really make too much of a fuss. But yeah, that was a bit of a petty revenge on the set they got. During Nancy, Tom's wife's scene, she nearly got impaled. Now, I heard about this like years ago, but for those who don't know, she nearly got impaled during her scene when Jason stabs through the windshield with the iron rod. Apparently, the glass didn't break the way it was supposed to, and it went too far over to her head and almost poked her in the eye. Oh, but her nightmare was not done yet. So apparently, after she crawls out of the car and she's in that puddle and everything, she's supposed to be underwater, and she had a little breathing tube. The breathing tube was not working, so she had to hold her breath. That poor girl had a nightmarish time. And of course, they're in the cold-ass Georgia weather, because they're filming this. Oh, God, they're filming this pretty close in the fall, around winter. So, yeah, they had a lot of cold nights. I'm so glad I don't have to film cold-ass night scenes, especially in near top of Georgia. And then, of course, the creme de la creme when it comes to fun facts. We all know Allison Cooper not only had 3 songs in the movie, but he wrote one for the end credits that actually had a really nice little music video. Love it, though. Love it. But yeah, no, there's a lot of fun facts about this movie. I'm sure there's a ton more I haven't got into, because there's so many like behind the scenes things, a lot of fun things. For granted, I know a lot more fun things about the other 4 movies, especially the fact that 2, 3, and I want to say 4 a little bit, but mainly 2 and 3 was nothing but like cocaine-filled moments and high moments. I want to say the 5th movie was the same as well. I could be wrong. But I want to say they toned it down for the 4th movie because of the fucking Corey being in the movie. There being a kid around, they want to, let's be proper adults. But you gotta remember, the other 2 movies had nothing but like young teenagers, or let me phrase that, young adults playing teenagers. So there's a lot of drugs, booze, and rock and roll going on. I want to say the 6th movie because at this point, we're rounding out the end of the 80s. Drug-filled movie scenes were being brought down a lot. Like, you'll notice that there's a big shift in movies when it comes to the 70s and early 80s, where a lot of the behind-the-scenes things you'll find out is, oh, somebody was really high doing this, or somebody was cracked out of their mind doing this shit. Come the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of that shit kind of got phased down. Some actors took their jobs a lot more serious and didn't rely on drugs so much. So, yeah, I want to say they toned it down very much behind the scenes for this movie, which I'm not complaining about. Good on them for keeping up, good behind the scene images and everything. But let's go ahead and dive straight on into this fun movie. We can talk about all the things I've noticed about this movie. That was always a good time. So we start off with one of our first night shots of the time. We go back and forth between day and night shots. And of course we got these like beautiful shots, like a foggy forest and like some trees and everything. Like, it looks really cool. Like, I really like this opening. And then we have Tommy coming in his powder blue truck with his buddy, what's his buddy? Haz. I think that's what he calls him. I'm not quite sure how to spell that, but Haz. I want to say his name is Haz. But him and his buddy Haz are driving in the vehicle. And, of course, Haz has got the mask, and he's making comments. And they kind of reference Spy, like, oh, my God, if the institution found out we were doing this, they're going to definitely put you in the straitjacket for sure. And at this point, it's really obvious, but he is driving to Jason to go burn his body alive because he needs to make damn sure Jason's dead. Even though, Haz is just like, hey man, killing Jason ain't gonna, stop the shit from coming up, because apparently he's still seeing Jason. And he's just like, Jason belongs in hell. I'm going to see he gets there. And of course, as they're driving, and we say that epic scene, we have Haz turn around, look at the gas can, a bolt of lightning starts, and we get a thunderstorm incoming warning. Fantastic, I say, fantastic. But after that little chit chat, they end up going to go find the grave, and there's like this really cool, intense moment as Tommy's looking through all the graves, and he finally sees Jason's grave. We got like a struck of lightning, and he turns dramatically as fuck, by the way, and the music's hyping up, and his buddy's just like, all right, there it is. Let's go. Just like, seriously, he's like every normal human being in this situation. Just like, all right, there's proof, there's the grave. Let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here, man. I don't want to do this. But Tommy, that is not good enough for Tommy. Tommy's just like, no. We got to make sure he's dead. So he starts to digging. He starts to going. His buddy's just like, well, I come this far. Why the hell not? Starts digging with him. They get all the way to the coffin, and of course, he's like, all right, there's this coffin, let's go. I gotta make sure, give me that crowbar. So he gets the crowbar, and he pops it open, and there's this slow, dramatic reveal. I guess to kind of like let us as the audience like wonder, is he really in there? Had they retconned anything from the fifth or the fourth movie? Like, what are we going at with this? But as they slowly open the coffin with nasty cobwebs and insects, we see the body, a very good body by the way, of Jason, covered in goo and maggots and spider webs and all this shit. Like, it's nasty as hell. And it looked good though, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know what maggot wrangler they had for this, but kudos, man, those maggots were on point. And Tommy, being all shocked and like in awe at the same moment, he's having a PTSD flashback of him when he was like just going ham on Jason at the ending of part 4, where he's just like, die, and you hear what's her name just going, Tommy, stop, come on, let's go, Tommy. He's having that little PTSD flashback. So Tommy don't handle this shit well. He grabs an iron rod off the iron fence and proceeds to stab Jason very, very aggressively all over the place, in the chest, in the head. Just wants to make double sure, triple sure he's dead. Now, if this was me in this situation, after I had my little freak out, and Jason, dead, like, you can't get any more dead than that, I would have grabbed the gas canister, I wouldn't even pour it in. I would have splashed it around a little bit, thrown the gas canister in, lit that bitch up, boom, dead. All the way. Like 100% cremated and all. That would have been that was in the shortest Friday the 13th movie ever if I starred in it. Just burns Jason. Alright, Jason's finally where he belongs. End credits. There we go. But Tommy does not do that. Tommy walks over to the gas canister, takes his time doing it, and that gives Mother Nature and God enough time to flip them off and basically strike Jason down with lightning and basically bring him back to life. He becomes Frankenstein here for all of 2.7 seconds. And that's that got the horror that Tom loves so much. Which, again, kudos, man. I love the homage there. But Tommy, for some reason, instead of, continuing to grab the gas canister, walk over there, set that bitch on fire and call it a day, he decides to grab the iron rod out of Jason. So he puts his little yellow gloves on, struggles a little bit, pulls it out, puts it down to the ground. And then Jason just goes, "Fuck you, buddy," and pops out of the fucking grave and tries to pull him down. Now, my thing is, why didn't Tommy realize Jason was alive? Because we had several moments where we pan over to Jason's eye and we see it open, we see it moving around and stuff. You would think, as Tommy, granted, he's down there and he's pulling on the iron rod, he would look down and see that eye moving and go, "Oh shit," and get the fuck out the way. But apparently he was so hyper-focused on the chest, he didn't see this, so when Jason popped up and surprised the hell out of him, he was very, very surprised. Now, this is a great moment to make a mention of the fact that Jason looks fantastic here. I'm not gonna lie, he's coming out looking like a zombie from Day of the Dead over here, just covered in maggots, his face all disheveled and black goo and all this nastiness just dripping off of him, and he's slowly staggering towards Tommy as Tommy finally grabs a gas canister and starts like, pouring it like crazy on Jason, and Jason's not even fazed by this bullshit. And then Tommy makes the mistake I always bitch about everybody in every horror movie to not do. Because nobody listens to me when I say invest in a Zippo. I'm sure they had Zippos back in 1986, Tommy. You should have invested into a Zippo. Problems could have been solved so much sooner. You just would have popped that Zippo out, undid the top, light that bitch, threw it on Jason, boom. Movie would have been over. You would have been the grand hero. But no. Tommy's got to have matches. So as Tommy's fucking trying to light those matches, God comes down yet again with his middle finger and goes, "No, Tommy, we got a movie to do." And the rain starts coming down and puts out the match as soon as it gets lit. And Jason's standing there just staring at Tommy. Tommy's staring at Jason. It's like, are you serious, bro? Yeah, I'm serious, man. We can't light this campfire today. Like, it looks like just two dudes who are really disappointed that their matches went out. But Jason don't see that Haz comes up behind him with a shovel and tries to be a boss-ass motherfucker right here, and he ends up becoming a stupid-ass bitch. He goes and hits Jason with the shovel. Of course, the shovel breaks on impact because Jason's just a god now. Jason, in one fell swoop, as soon as he gets hit, just turns around and punches the shit out of the guy so hard that he ends up grabbing his heart and holding it as his arm is through the man's chest here. And then he yeets back so hard with the full force, I'm sure he's still holding the heart and everything, that has his body immediately falls into the coffin and closes with his foot hanging out. Tommy's impressed. Tommy's just like, "Oh shit, Haz, no, my friend, oh my god, Jason, impressive though." And he ends up running the fuck off while Jason stays back and cleans up, he drops the heart. I don't know what he did with the heart. He could have ate it for all I know. I mean, hell, he did that in 9. And Jason goes to hell, he did that all the time. So I don't know, he could have ate it, could have thrown it in the coffin. Who the fuck knows what he did with it? The point is, he don't have the heart no more. He's putting on those nice yellow gloves. Tommy just happened to leave for him as Tommy was pulling on the fucking pipe, or the pole. Very nice of Jason to want to add accessories to his outfit, though. I give him kudos for changing his outfit up. But, he puts the gloves on, he puts the hockey mask on, because, I failed to mention this, but as they're, digging up the grave, and, after Tommy has a little freak out, Haz looks at him and goes, "Boy, this guy really did a number on you, didn't he?" And he's, Tommy's still got the mask in his hand. He goes, "Yeah, fuck you, Jason." He throws the mask into the coffin with him. I don't know why people insist on doing this, by the way. Like, this is not the first time this has happened. For some reason, people just want the mask and Jason to be together, like, all the time. Like, and it never works out. Jason always wakes up. Something about the mask just, like, makes his dick hard and makes him wake the hell up every day. Like, seriously. That man could be unconscious, lay the mask down, have sex. Boom, he's awake, man. He's awake. Leave his machete close by, too. Otherwise, he's going to have to hunt that bitch down. Ask what happened to his machete and Jason X. That one guy, he should not have given him his machete. I'm just saying. Maybe one day we'll talk about that movie, because I do have a bit of a soft spot for that movie. I do. I really do. But, of course, Jason gets dressed, and then we have the funny James Bond opening where Jason, like, dramatically turns around to face the camera, and we zoom in on his eye, and we see just Jason walk out like he's James Bond, and he slices the screen with his machete, and it goes, "Friday the 13th, 2 more blood, part 6, Jason lived," all that bullshit. Now, granted, that is a fun, kooky opening, and I enjoy that opening. But nothing beats Friday the 13th Part 3's opening music. Like, I'm sorry, that retro 80s music, oh my god, I can hear that beat now in my head. That theme song lives rent-free in my head 24/7, okay? I love that opening musical number. But this one's not too bad, it's pretty good, pretty solid, with the James Bond parody. But after that, Jason is now proceeding to walk to where the fuck he's walking to, and Tommy pulls up into the police station. He runs in. Of course, the sheriff is being a typical cop in horror movies, and he's sleeping because small town ain't much going on this day and age. But he's asleep. Tommy busts on in. Cop wakes up, pulls out his gun, and he's like, "Jason's alive. Jason, you gotta come here." And he's just like, "Oh my god, kid. What, you an entertainer or something? Because you know how to make one hell of an entrance." And, of course, Tommy's just, like, on a fucking roll. He's just like, "Jason's alive, he killed my friend Haz." And, of course, the officer's just like, "Hey, man, you need to calm down." "Don't tell me to calm down, bro. I will paint this room red with all the blood on the wall." And so he basically threatens to shoot and kill him through the head. Like, God, what exactly did he say? Something about, "I will paint these walls red," or something like that. But basically threatens to kill him because, Tommy's freaking out. Tommy is not helping his case because he's just like, "Jason is alive. I unburied him and he's alive." And he's just like, "All right, who are you, kid? Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm Tommy. Tommy Jarvis? Tommy, we know you. Your mom and friends were all hacked up by Jason all those years ago." "Yeah, no, he's dead. That's why we changed the name. That's why the town wants to forget about this shenanigans. Okay, we don't want to talk about this shit." And he's like, "No, man, you gotta listen. Jason's alive." And then, of course, one of his buddies comes in. He's got food and everything. But during this like distraction moment, Tommy reaches for the gun. I don't know why. He just does. He reaches for the gun, though. Of course, the officer grabs it. They struggle a little bit. They get away from him, pin him down. Of course, he starts chewing him out. Just, again, the whole, no one wants to remember what happened. Let's let people move on. That's why we changed the name to Forest Green. Da-da-da-da. Enjoy your night in jail and cool your ass down. You need to just chill the fuck out. He throws him in jail, and he apologizes. "I'm sorry, Jason, I hacked your family up, but, you gotta calm down." So, after that, we got that beautiful introduction. And again, this adds a great moment when it comes to Tommy's development. We're being filled in from this entire opening that, you know, taught me, you know, little bits of information that happened not only in 4 and 5, but 5 as well. Kind of refresh your memory, and also for those who have never seen, you know, 4 or 5 and just walking into 6, kind of, you know, gets a little bit of backstory of Tommy. And he was in an institution because his mom got killed by Jason and a bunch of other the neighbors and everything. But I like that. I really like that. You know, it's not only a decent nod to the previous films to kind of let you know that, yeah, unfortunately, this shit's still kind of fucking canon. As much as we dislike 5, it's still canon. But it fills any information in that you may not have gotten if you didn't watch some of those other movies. But after that fine development and fine understanding that, you know, Jason's dead, the reason why they changed Forest, the camp from Camp Crystal Lake to Forest Green, they want to forget about this shit. You know, kind of like Halloween 4, how they want to forget about Michael Myers and pretend he didn't exist. Yeah, worked so well for them. So well. We now cut to the couple, which is Elizabeth and her boo. I didn't quite catch his name. But they're driving a little beat-up Beetle or whatever, and, you know, they're off-road, and, you know, he's looking at the map. She slams on brakes about halfway through his conversation. He's just like, what the hell, babe? And this is where one of those meta jokes come in, and this is an honest meta joke. Like, we can all agree on this, but she's like, I've seen enough horror movies to know when the man in the mask is standing there, it's never a good thing. And of course, you know, he looks up and he's like, no. Let's get the hell up out of here. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna put this in reverse. She goes to, you know, back up. And of course, the way the roads work, especially in Georgia, we got fucking ditch for miles on in. I don't know why, so no one can turn around on these goddamn dirt roads. But he tries to turn around, or she tries to turn around. He's like, if we fall into one of these holes, it's gonna take us hours to get out of here, and we don't have hours right now because we got like a madman standing there in the middle of the road here wearing a mask. So, he ends up coming with the idea, well, let's scare him. She's like, scare him? How do you want to scare him? Just drive forward. Nobody wants to die, so he'll just, like, get out of our way. Yeah, that seems logical. That seems understandable. He's got a good point there. So they end up trying to, I guess, intimidate Jason. And I gotta laugh at this because it's just comedy gold here. Comedy gold. You gotta see this from my perspective. Okay, so you got Jason standing there, right? And he's holding the iron rod from the grave site. It's pitch dark. They try to hit Jason with the car, but they stop like 2 inches before him because he ain't moving. He's a fucking cow here. He's just a cow, just standing still, not gonna move. And they honk their horn at him, right? Just beep, beep, get the fuck out of the way, asshole. Just beep, beep. Jason retaliates by stabbing their tire. Just not even flinching, just like a damn bull, just like an angry animal. Like we've all seen those videos of the animals just standing in the middle of the road, and then like a car just slams on brakes and honks at them, and then the dog attacks the car like the car did something wrong. That's the image I see here when I look at Jason just pop that fucking tire. Just beep beep, bitch, you in my way. So of course her little boo is just like, all right, fine, I got an idea for this. So he grabs this gun and she's like, what are you doing? You ain't Dirty Harry. And he's just like, I'm just gonna scare him, get him out the way. And he gets out the car and of course he points the gun at Jason. And he's just like, I don't want any trouble, man. Just get out here. And she rolled down the window. Of course she sticks her head out, just like, I don't think he's playing. Like I don't think this is a good idea. What if he kills you? And as soon as that happens, Jason knocks one of their headlights out. Just add insult to injury here. Just fuck your headlight. And, you know, we have like this awkward standoff where they're both staring at each other for a minute. And then Jason makes a move and he's just like, I'm going to have to kill him first. It opens fire on Jason and he misses, of course, because this dude has shit fucking aim. He must have went to Stormtrooper's school of shooting. And there's this like really nice shot. Like, I love this shot. He gets stabbed right just straight through the gut, and it looks like Jason, I guess, goes to sling him. And as soon as that happens, we get the scene where we cut to the windshield and we see the girl sitting there, and we just see like a line of blood just cascade the fucking window, and she screams, and Jason smashes through the window with the iron rod and starts digging around there, and she crawls out, and she's in the mud and the puddle. And this is where I say Jason teleports, okay? Listen to me. I may be crazy, but listen to me. So she's crawling on the ground, right? She's turning around. She's like in the water. She's like fighting with the wall in her pocket. She's trying to bribe Jason, like, sir, I'll give you all the money and my credit cards, just everything. Just please don't kill me. And as soon as it says that, Jason disappears, right? Now, we don't hear Jason leave. We don't see Jason leave, right? So, and then we see that she's looking around. She did not see Jason leave. She's left to the right, looking around. It's all quiet. It's nothing but her panting and the water splashing up in the puddle she's in. And then suddenly, Jason jumps down. He jumps downward, right? He comes down like he's landing on top of her and sticks the iron rod in her face as she screams and she goes down into the puddle. Now, this is why I say he teleports. Looking at that shot, the guy made a mention saying we're in a gorge territory, where it's basically the roads are small as hell and there's like little divots and on the side of the road, and it's almost like an embankment. So, most embankments have a certain like space between the embankments and the trees. All right, most trees do not come very close to an embankment. The way Jason fell means he would have to have been on a tree that was behind her and he had to jump forward, which means if he was standing in front of her, he would have to go around her through the bushes, climb a tree, climb all the way up, turn around, jump down, land perfectly in front of her, and then stab her in the face. But there is no tree. All right, so then you have the argument, well, what if he stood on the vehicle? Okay, so the car is behind them technically because she's in the back of the vehicle, and he would have been very well noticed, especially when she looked up. She would have seen him. The camera would have cut over to him. We would have heard him get on that vehicle. So, how did Jason just jump? And now you can say, well, he could have just jumped out of the trees. Again, embankment, guys. We're in an embankment. There's no way, unless Jason got a fucking running start from the edge of the wood line and then maneuvered his ass like this is Monty Golf over here. And then he had to have adjusted himself to be that type of specific angle to land on top of her. Thus, is why he teleports. Because the fact that we didn't hear him leave, she didn't see him leave, he just vanished, gone, vamoose. We don't know where he went. And then he jumps on top of her out of nowhere. I feel like that's some pretty good evidence that people seem to overlook about his teleporting powers. Anyway, Matt Pat, I'm looking at you. I'm sorry, like seriously, like my boyfriend, he is a firm believer that Jason's just athletically inclined, and we argue all the time about that. Every time we watch Friday the 13th, part 8, he's just like, oh yeah, no, he's just really fast. No, the fuck he ain't. And I could prove in part 8 how he's teleporting as well. I have a whole argument, especially with a lot of the studies I've done. I could prove he teleported. But we're going to keep proving this factor in this movie even more. And again, like I said earlier, it makes sense. He's a supernatural being. Of course he's going to teleport. Don't give me that, oh, he's really fast. We seen him quick walk, okay? We seen it. We hear him. He's got some big-ass footsteps. You cannot denounce the fact that when Jason walks, he's got some heavy-ass footsteps. That man is always at 6'3", 6'4", okay? He's a big-ass dude. He makes noises, okay? He is not a ninja. Unless he teleports. But after that wonderful rant on the fact that one of the reasons why I think he teleports, after he stabs her in the face and her, she goes down, she screams, bubbles, and her hand sits there, And of course we see it sink down, the money sink down, but the MasterCard stays floating. And that's the shot I was talking about earlier that he lingered on purpose because he knew some jackass in the audience would scream out, "Never leave home without it," which is true because the first time I ever watched this movie, my mother made that same joke and I busted out laughing because I saw that commercial. I grew up with that commercial. So we're now on to the next day, and of course Tommy's recovering from his not so drunk but scary night of Jason in the cell, and we see the officer talking to his daughter Megan, who is coming in to report that their friends, who were the two counselors, the couple we saw in the last scene. Oh, excuse me, moi. Oh, there we go again. But that couple in the last scene we saw die. They're looking for them. And of course, you know, he's like, "I got bigger things to worry about. I'm sure they're okay." Trying to brush it off, pretend like nothing's going on. And of course, Tommy doesn't help. And he's like, "Oh no, Jason, it was him. It had to be him, Jason." And of course, you know, all Megan, her friends are like, "Ooh, what's Jason? Who's Jason?" And then of course, you know, Tommy's just like, "Jason, he's the killer from Camp Blood." And, well, I don't think it's Tommy that says that. It's one of the other guys. I think it's John Travolta's cousin. He ends up saying that. But they're just like, "Oh, you know, Jason can't be back alive." And, of course, Megan's dad is not feeling this shit. And he's just like, "All right, y'all need to go. Do what you got to do. Get out. I have to do with you in the only way I know how." And that's basically, "Get the hell up out of my town." Just seriously, like straight up, he tells them that he's going to drop them off at the edge of town and call it a day. Like, he does not want to deal with them anymore. So, like I said, Megan and her friends leave. Officer makes that little fucking threat. You think all is well. It's the next day. Well, the officer thinks all is well, to be honest. He thinks all is well. He thinks if the problem will be solved once it's out of mind, out of sight, he says. Boy, is he wrong. So then we cut to the gravedigger, who has now seen the grave uncover and sees has his foot sticking out. And he thinks it's Jason. And he's just like, "Who in the world would do this now? They're going to be blaming me." He starts bickering away and he's drinking. And he's just like, "I know, I'll just cover it up so they can't blame me." But hell, I mean, who the hell would want to fucking uncover Jason anyway? And he looks dead at the camera as our fucking fourth wall break moment, looks dead at the camera and just goes, "Some folks have a strange idea of entertainment." 100% true, my dude. 100% true. A lot of us have a strange idea of entertainment when it comes to our horror movies. Like, sometimes we just want to watch them hack and slash away. That's just mindless bubblegum popcorn movie shit. And this movie delivered on it. With the humor, of course. So, we cut to Megan and her friends after that, and they're talking about their missing friends. You know, they're worried that, hey, you know, they don't show up by a certain time. Maybe we should call the police. And then, of course, Megan's like, "Well, what if it's Jason? What if Jason got them? Like, Jason? Ooh, yeah, he's totally real." And then, of course, they make fun of the fact that she was flirting with Tommy. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. She's flirting with Tommy the entire time why he's talking about all this, and her dad's like uncomfortable with it. This is why he wanted Tommy out, because as soon as like Tommy and her like locked eyes, like his dad's red flag senses popped up, and he's like, wee, no, get him out of town. My daughter's an innocent princess and should not be touched. I feel like that's just his thought as a dad there. But you know, they're making fun of all this shit. And she's just like, you know, it could be Jason, though, you know. We can call this place whatever we want, but this is Camp Crystal Lake. This is his home. And you know what? You know what day it is? Friday the 13th. And I can only think of one other thing that is more terrifying than that. And everyone's just like, "Oh my God, Megan, what is that? What is that?" As soon as they question that, she points to the window. And you see a school bus pull up And the doors open, all the kids are running out, screaming. A bus driver, of course, is like, they're your problem now. Closes the door, drives the fuck off, because, you know, most bus driver in these horror movies had the bright idea to get the hell up out of there. But they get ready to get started on their beautiful, beautiful summertime camp-filled, I want to say weekend. I'm not sure how long they plan on doing the summer camp, but they were planning on doing a summer camp for a little while. But as soon as that happens, though, fucking Sissy, without missing a beat, just, I think I'd rather deal with Jason. Just looking at all that chaos, she just rather deal with Jason. Although those are words she soon will regret. I am not gonna lie. Jason gets some good ass revenge on her. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. I love it. Again, she's got one of my favorite deaths next to Megan's dad. Like, oh my god, I love it. Granted, I can only imagine what it would have been like if they actually had more than like a day to film it, though. Like, if they actually had like some like really good practical effects. Granted, the MPA probably would have fucking been like, nope, that's too much, get rid of it, you know. But still, though, it just, you know, makes you wonder, you know, what if kind of scenarios. But after, you know, all that little fun, lighthearted moment, it's kind of like cool you down, you relax you, because Jason's just still on a fucking rampage, by the way. Don't forget, it may be daytime at this point, but Jason's still on a roll. This man's just been walking all night long. I don't know where he's going. I know where he's at, though, and I don't want to be where he's at. But we're introduced to the paintball gang. And I love these guys. They're goofy, they're silly, you know, clearly they're a group of people doing a work-related, like, team-building exercise or something like that. And the two guys are walking around just chit-chatting about, you know, about the game and about where everybody's at, what, you know, everyone could be doing. And then suddenly this girl comes out and then gets them. And she's like, haha, I got you boys. And of course they're bitching about that. Like, why did we even invite her? Well, this is for all the executives and all that shit. And she's an executive, so she had to come along. Oh, boys, don't be so glum. Now wear your badge of honor. And they have to grab the fucking bandanas that say dead on it. And he puts it on. And then I love this. I love this scene right here. So one of the other guys, I'm assuming, it's not too happy about being shot by her, because apparently she got him at some point, but he is hacking away at some trees and shrubbery and shit, and he's just bitchy. I'm talking about, he's like, stupid girl, should stay in the kitchen, you know, basically having like a child's temper tantrum over here. Just stupid women, they belong in the kitchen where they belong, and da-da-da-da, being misogynistic as fuck, by the way. But Jason does not stand for this. Jason heard that commotion and says, nah, bitch, equal rights for everybody. And as soon as that man railed up to do it again, Jason grabs the man's arm and tries to yeet the machete away, but inattentionally yeets the man across the forest. Man goes flying, gets impaled by a tree, lands face first into the bark of the tree that conveniently has a little smiley face carved into it, and because his face slammed into the tree, it's covered in blood now, so the smiley face is all red and cute and shit. And Jason, so impressed with his superhuman strength right here, just looks at the machete, because attached to the machete is the fucking arm, and I just love that look of, I really did that. Cool. Like, seriously, that's what it looks like. Like, he seems so impressed with his skill. Like, he didn't realize he unlocked Super Saiyan mode or something like that. Just straight up. Loved it, though. Loved it. So, after Jason gets done with that, we then cut back to the Tommy basically being drive back outside the city limits, you know, because the officer wants him out of here, out of town, out of sight, out of mind. And they're chit-chatting about him, going, man, Jason really fucked him up, didn't he? And the officer's just like, yeah, he really did. But what I'm really afraid of is how far is he willing to go to prove his point here. A little foreshadowing right there. We didn't cut back to the paintball guys. and they're looking for their friend. They're like, who knows where their buddy's at? Because we see there's been this one guy, and he's got a little glasses, and he's very clumsy. He ends up losing his paintball gun and everything, and he takes him a minute to find it, and he's been searching around. But the other three are kind of making fun of him because of the fact that he probably already has done tripped and shot himself with a paintball gun. But they all end up all stopping because they hear something, and they're looking around. Now here's another point of Jason teleporting. Okay, so Jason's in the woods, right? We in the woods. They in the woods. We in the woods, right? Now we can logically maybe have a little bit of a point, and I have to use this as evidence, of course, against my argument. Yes, there's a lot of trees around. Okay, a lot of trees. But looking at these trees, the way they are planted and the way they have grown, I do not see a lot of low-hanging branches. I see, low to the ground hanging branches, where the tree is deformed and probably slanked down, but at a good medium height for someone to climb and stand up there nonchalantly and not be seen, by the way. Think about that for a minute. He had to not be seen, which means he had to be far enough up this tree to jump down, because this is what happens. We all know this scene, but I'm going to go by it scene by scene for y'all. So he jumps down. They all, they're all huddled up together, and they look in front of them. Oh my God, Jason! And then Jason, one fell swoop, decapitates them. Clean. Loved it. So, he jumps down in front of them, which means he had to fucking anime jump down. Not anime superhero land, but just anime jump down like he's a boss-ass bitch, and then land in front of them perfectly, decapitate them. Now, the problem with that is, watching that scene, I did not see a tree close enough at that particular angle for him to jump down yet again. Okay? There is no tree. There are trees, yes, there are trees. And there are trees that are close to them, but there's no trees close enough to them with the amount of hanging branches. Because otherwise, Jason himself, if he can't teleport, just fucking learn super jumping mushroom jump from Super Mario Bros. Or something, because that's a long-ass climb up there. And you're trying to tell me Jason took the time in the middle of the day to climb up a tree just to jump down and decapitate these people? No, I do not think so. Again, he jumped down in front of them. What else allows you to jump in front of people? When you teleport. Fucking teleports. He teleports. More proof he teleports. And y'all don't believe me, go back and rewatch these scenes. Go back. Look at the background. Look at the trees. There's no way. And the fact of the matter is they hear noises, right? We hear the noises too. And, it sounds like somebody walking through the woods. Not climbing a tree, walking through the woods. We hear branches snapping, the leaves ruffling around. But we don't hear someone climbing a tree. And that's an instinctive sound. Like, I had climbed plenty of trees in my life. We had the tree in my backyard when I was a kid. Me and my brother used to climb it all the time. We even carved our initials into it. We even built a tree house up there. It makes an audible sound that is very recognizable. I did not hear that audible sound. Okay? So, more proof. He teleports. But I digress. So he jumps down, does that clean, 3-person decapitation. Love it as always. And unfortunately, their buddy, who could have been one of the reasons why they were hearing that weird noises, but I highly doubt that because that's some big-ass footsteps we were hearing. This man seems like he walks on his toes. Comes around the tree and sees his buddies get decapitated. As the bodies fall forward, he's like, oh my God, and then fucking Jason, it's like, ooh, fresh meat. Starts walking towards him, so he opens fire on Jason with the paintball gun, and Jason ain't impressed, by the way. He get, the fuck, man, it's my new shirt. I just got this bitch. So he goes after him. The dude takes off running like a bitch, by the way. He runs like a bitch. I'm not even exaggerating. I've seen some people run. I've seen track stars run. I've seen cameramen run. I've seen women run. I've seen bitches run. He runs like a bitch. So as, he's running through and doing his shenanigans and screaming for help that will never come, we then cut back to Tommy, who who sees the sign for the cemetery and goes, fuck it, I'm gonna take them to the cemetery and prove to them that Jason's alive. Fucking fishtails into the cemetery. There's a big old high-speed pursuit chase that goes on for a half a millisecond. Great parking job, by the way. Tommy comes pulling up in that place, just it's like clean as fuck too. Great parking job. Gets out of the car, closes his door too. Very nice of him. Goes around. And I say that because 2 officers get out of the car and don't close their doors. But they do this like really nice chase where you're going back and forth between all the tombstones and the fencing and everything. And eventually, Megan's dad comes out of nowhere. Football tackles him down to the ground, and he's just like, just look at it, man, just look at it. You know, Jason's alive, Jason's this, Jason's that. And he's just like, oh, well, I guess Jason woke up and got cold and covered himself back up. And we look at the his grave, and it's all covered up. We, as the audience, know the gravedigger over here, who's drunk as shit, covered it up because he didn't want to get in trouble. I don't know why he didn't say anything, but I guess because he's drunk as shit and didn't want to get in trouble. But, you know, of course, you know, Tommy's not having it, and he's arguing, you know, he's trying to fight him back, and then Megan's dad's little buddy pulls out his favorite new gun with his new laser scope and points him at him, and he's just like, oh, my partner just brought out his I forgot the name of the gun, but he's like, brought the gun out, and he's got his new laser scope that he's been dying to test out. And then, of course, we get the funny-ass line, wherever the little red dot goes, shebang. Like, bro, it's a laser. Resident Evil 4 has that shit. Quit acting like you're tough shit. But, you know, as they're taking him away, he's just like, just dig him up, and take a look. He's not there. He's alive. And, of course, you know, the gravedigger's sitting there, and, you know, they're like, oh, don't listen to him. He's crazy. Let him go. And the gravedigger looks at the camera, looks at the grave, takes a swig, and he's just like, dig him up. What does he think I am? A fart head? And funny enough, we literally cut directly after that to a bunch of kids going, yay! Like agreeing that, yeah, you're a fart head, motherfucker. You are a fart head. But they're trying to get the girls hyped up, you know. Are we going to have a good time at summer camp? Yeah! Are we going to go fishing? Yeah! You know, that typical, you know, camp bullshit of hyping up all the kids and everything. And they're like, yeah, they're doing a good job. I wonder how the boys are doing. We cut to John Travolta's cousin over here, and he's stacking up these rocks. And they're like, what does this have to do with being a Boy Scout? And he's like, all right, listen, guys, listen. All right, so this is some real Indian shit right here, okay? You're probably not going to learn this anywhere else, but you see when, like, a mom and the dad would get in an argument, the dad would go take off, the son would want to communicate with the dad, so, you know, he would, the dad would, you know, basically rocks up, kind of pointing, hey, we're going this direction, and so the son would come over here and go, oh, I'm going this direction, and knock the rocks over, because he doesn't want mom to find out about this shit, so, yeah, this is the whole point of this. And these 2 kids, I love these 2 little boys. And lean over to each other and goes, if this is the most exciting thing of camp of all time, we're doomed. Like, I love those little kids. Like, seriously, they got some of the best, like, one-liners throughout this whole movie. I'm not even gonna lie. But after that, we didn't cut to them dropping off Tommy at the edge of town. Like, you see the sign now leaving Forest Green? Don't let it kick you on the way out. Goodbye, let's leave. And Tommy, of course, is standing there. He ain't gonna leave. You know he ain't gonna leave. He's got unfinished business. So that night, the gravedigger, he's drunk as shit at this point. Now, he's not just drunk as shit. He's pissed drunk. He's pissed fucking drunk. Walking, he's humming his own little song. We got a couple in the back, you know, in a little picnic area, you know. She's like, oh my God, we're getting engaged, so great. And he's just like, yeah, it's fantastic. And then, of course, we got the little funny moment of, you know, she's trying to have intimate time with him. And he's giving all the excuses like a typical girl would. Just, oh, no, I got a headache. You know, long day at work. You know, my back hurts and all this shit. And she's like, oh, really? You know, just kind of teasing him a little bit. You know, again, no nudity, guys. Just a little tease. And he's like, fucking. You know, he goes to make out with her. And, Gravedigger's walking around. He's just like, huh, where'd the road go? I've lost the road. Like, you that fucking drunk when you lost the road, man. But he gets done, he swigs the last bit of it, and he hears something, so he starts looking around. Sees nothing. Finishes the bottle. Goes to throw the bottle, and he waits for the sound of it to break, but we don't hear anything. So he turns around, looks up. Jason's an amazing catcher, by the way. An amazing catcher. He managed to catch that bottle without breaking it, but he has it in his hand. He looks at the guy, he breaks it in half, and then stabs him in the neck with it. Just straight up, Gravedigger screams. Of course, the engagement couple hears this. And then, of course, the man, stay here, let me check it out. You just stay here now. He goes over there to investigate, and there's just Jason hacking the Gravedigger away. I don't know why Jason's just going overkill in the Gravedigger, but he's just going overkill in the Gravedigger. He's just hacking away, just hacking away. And of course, Jason's sixth sense kicks in, so he knows somebody's there. So he turns around, holding the machete up and everything. Like I'm talking about, it's a nice shot of him just turning around. Of course, the dude sees this and he's like, "Oh shit, we gotta go!" And he runs off, and of course Jason follows after them. And as they're running, as he's running, he grabs this girl and he's like, "Baby, we gotta go." And she's just like, "Where are we going?" "Oh, we gotta get to the sheriff's office. We gotta let him know." And as soon as he's about to start his motorcycle up, Jason comes out of nowhere and impales both of them. Just not only a lovely homage to one of my favorite deaths, I'm pretty sure it was in chapter 2, when the two kids are having sex and Jason comes up behind them and stabs them together. Love that. I love that death scene. That's one of my favorites in 2. And I like how they somewhat recreated it here. That could have been an accident, just because they had to fill in a couple of extra dead bodies. So it's just convenient. If not, good homage, my dude. Good homage. But yeah, Jason ain't gonna let those kids say anything. Jason's on a roll here. So Jason kills them. Good on Jason. So then we cut to the camp to, check on everybody. Of course, the kids are resting. Jason's still making his way to the camp. It's taking him some time. He doesn't have GPS or a map location over here. So he's just going with the flow of the wind over here. And then we're with Sissy and Paula. And, Paula, of course, she's very anxious. She can't seem to, calm her heels a little bit. She wants to know where her friends are at, where everybody's at, what's going on. And Sissy, she's just trying to relax. She's trying to goof. And she's like, "Why don't you play a card game with me?" No, I'm just worried. Nobody's called. If we don't hear from them by the morning, we definitely need to go report this to the police. And she's like, okay, calm down. Why don't we play... And I love this little nod, by the way, because this is a nod towards the old school Friday the 13th game, which for those of y'all who have visual looking and not on Spotify listening to this or audiobook, you can see right here, I actually have a Funko Pop of the old school NES version of Jason from the old school game. But she ends up pulling out a card game, and she's just like, "Let's play Camp Blood." And she goes over the rules, which is almost identical to the rules of the old school game, where Jason's in one of the cabins and you have to find which cabin. And you gotta save the counselors and you gotta kill Jason and stuff. And that was basically the whole premise of the game, was that you had 3 nights and you had to kill Jason and save the counselors and check on the kids. It was the kids that kept getting me, man. The kids. I couldn't get over that fucking lake quick enough, man. I tried, though. I tried. But as they're, chit-chatting about all this and, about, where their friends are at, they hear this little girl scream. So, of course, they take off running into the cabin. And, as soon as they get in, of course, all the girls are looking up at the other girl. And they're like, "Baby, what's wrong? What's going on?" And she's like, "I had a terrible nightmare about a monster and he was trying to kill me." Like the bitch was foreshadowing the future or something. But they're like, "Oh my God, it's okay. We're here to protect you. I'm Paula. This is Sissy. And we got you. Everything's going to be okay. No monster here. So why don't you go back to bed and it'll be okay." "You promise?" "We promise." like a little sweet counselor moment. You know, you would think Jason would not want to kill these people. Like, they're actually really good counselors. Really good counselors. They hear the little girl screaming. They're there in a millisecond. Maybe Jason's just jealous that he didn't have those type of counselors. He's just like, man, if I would have had those bitches, I would have been saved. I wouldn't be dead. I wouldn't be having to take revenge on my mother. Fuck these bitches. Huh. Fuck these bitches. This is Camp Crystal Lake. But they calm her down, and as they're leaving, you know, they're pretty relaxed themselves. You know, they're still a little on the edge because they can't find their friends, but they're pretty relaxed. You know, everything's pretty chill. Jason's not there yet, but they make a comment about, well, where's Court at? Oh, Court? He got a phone call from a lady friend. He done taken the fuck off. Ooh, I wonder what he's doing. And of course, we all know what he's doing. So we cut over to what he's doing. And when there we see an RV with the lights on. And the RV is just rocking away. I'm talking about it's going heavy. You got Allison Cooper in the background just playing. And he's going in on it. Like his shirt's kind of pulled up. All wrapped up and stuff. And she's on top of him. You know, just like going ham, you know, the best dirty sex you can have with all your clothes on. I think they're getting up for a pre-warm-up game or something, you know, a little dry rub beforehand. But she's going ham, and I'm talking about like she's got like grabbing his shoulder straps of his tank top, and she's like pulling back, she's riding, and Jason's just like, fuck this shit, y'all having too much fun. And basically pulls out the wire. I thought originally he unplugged it when I was a kid. No, Jason's just a cruel motherfucker and just ripped that bitch out of the electrical outlet. And of course, you know, the lights and everything goes out, music stops. And she's just like, oh no, this can't be happening. No. Oh, she looks out the window and sees it's unplugged. And of course she then goes all like frantic little girl mode. Just, would you want to go outside and plug it back in? It's cold out there. Yeah, I know. Can you go, please? You know, being a helpless little damsel in distress. And this is after, by the way, this is after she makes a comment about the fact, and I missed this when I was a kid, I caught this when I was an adult, but when the lights go out, she goes, are you finished already? Oh, I thought that was the end of the song, so... yeah, she was not satisfied with that at all. But she goes all little girl mode, and of course he's like, fine, I'll go do it. So he goes to check it out. And of course there's this nice little build up of the anticipation of a jump scare that never comes, as he rounds around the RV, and he goes and checks out the wire, and he sees that it's been ripped out of the fucking outlet, not just unplugged. And he looks up and he's looking into the woods. And as soon as he goes to walk back, the woman comes around the corner and scares the shit out of him. And he's just like, yeah, I think we need to go now. Somebody's here. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? What would do this? And he takes off. And as they round the corner, now this is another reason why I say Jason teleports here. Okay? So you're telling me in the split, I don't know, we're going to say minute here, that Jason walked his happy ass into the RV and just stayed in that bathroom. Did not come out at any other point, but stayed in that bathroom and held the fuck on too, by the way. Held the fuck on too, because remember, dude can't drive the RV. We'll get there in a second. Alright, so let me finish the scene and I'll go on more of a rant of why this is a teleporting moment. So, they, of course, they go to the RV and the door's open and she's looking into the, the woods, and he's just like, what is that Jason guy? Well, if it is, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And they, of course, they go in there and they try to start the vehicle. And of course, we have that nice, like, fake out of, the car's not starting. And he's just like, oh my God, this is not happening. This is not happening. She's like, yeah, no, it's not. She flips something on. And of course, he cranks up right away and he starts taking off. And she falls back because he can't fucking drive. And he's like going forward and backwards. And she's going all over the place. She winds up in the back of the RV, like way in the back of the RV, like with the beds at and everything. Past the bathroom. Now, pause. So, we know the man cannot drive. So, like I said, You're telling me, yeah, Jason could have walked in. You know, the door was left open. They have plenty of time, maybe, for Jason to walk into this RV. Now, here's the thing about RVs. When somebody, especially the size of Jason, again, 6'4", roughly about maybe 250, we're going to give or take some pounds. When somebody of that caliber and size walks into an RV, you definitely can tell the RV shifts. Okay, the RV is like a typical car. When someone big gets to a vehicle, you know, the car kind of dips out a little bit. Same fucking thing happens. I didn't see the RV move. I didn't see it tilt at any point. I didn't hear no indication of Jason walking up or walking into the RV or even going to his bathroom. Now, again, of course, the door is open. It is possible. Is it likely? No. Because of the fact that we would have seen this coming. Okay, we would have heard this coming. But now you're telling me Jason stood in this bathroom at any point, could have come out at any point, you know, especially right when they were having that fake freak out of, oh my God, the car's not starting, you know, all that moment. And the fact that before they got into the RV and started taking off, of course, you know, we're looking into the woods and we're hearing shit. And that's why he made the moment of, or made that mention of, hey, you know, somebody's out there. It could be Jason. Let's get the fuck out of here. But you're telling me, if that's not the case, and Jason, you know, walked his happy ass into his RV, he sat there in that tiny little bathroom, braced himself against the walls to hold himself up steady while the dude was maneuvering crazy like, because we see that, yeah, the guy driving, Court, who's driving, he's in the driver's seat, so of course he ain't gonna go anywhere, but the girl in the back keeps tumbling around and falling back, and you're telling me Jason stayed completely still and didn't even hit the wall at any point and made noises? I disagree with you, my friend. Alright, I get Jason is a very smart individual, very talented for his skills, yes. But the fact of the matter is, I do not picture Jason bracing himself against this wall, and the legs and all, because remember, he can't make any noises, because, you know, we don't know he's in that bathroom. So, you know, bracing himself against this wall. I do not believe this at all. I cannot believe this. That's just unfathomable. People would rather believe Jason standing in a goofy position than believe that this man could teleport. It's ridiculous. But Jason, of course, pops up out of the bathroom when she goes to walk forward. And he grabs her, and of course he muffles her screams and throws her into the bathroom, and they're tussling around. And of course, dipshit up front thinks she's playing with herself or something. I don't know what the hell he thinks he's doing, but he's like, oh, sounds like you're having a good time back there. Oh, you need some help. Like, bro, you're driving for one. And second, why would you think she was just bitching about you, about your terrible ass driving? Like, she even said, pull over, let me drive. Which is a first, by the way, because usually it's the other way around. But her and Jason are struggling, going back and forth, back and forth. Eventually, Jason grabs her by the back of the head and then slams her face just completely into the wall of the RV, leaving a beautiful impression of her screaming face inside the wall. Like, it is beautiful. It's not even that bloody, but I love that visual of just her screaming and then her face just going through the wall. Like, you see, that's a lot of force for one. But clearly her skull is cracked. Like, for real, 100%. But goes, you know, does that, and he's like jamming out to Young Frankenstein by Alison Cooper over here, and he's like just going all like, "Ooh, I love this RV, it's great, oh, let's pump this shit." Jason finally walks out, and Jason slowly walks out. Now, again, Jason is walking smoothly and fine, and the dude knows somebody else is back there, so that's why he's not checking this shit out. So, let me digress again, back to the teleporting thing. So tell me how Jason got into that RV. Besides, if he didn't walk up there, and he did all this crazy shenanigans, and he didn't get heard at all. It's because he teleported. He teleported into the RV. Okay? Teleported into that RV. That's what he did. As the hill I am dying on. Jason is a teleporter. Anyway. As Jason is walking up to this man, And he's just like, hey, you okay? You know, I don't know why he ain't looking back at any point, but for some strange reason, you know, he just keeps looking straight. Jason comes up beside him. This beautiful, nice shot, by the way. I love this shot. Because we see like a chest view of Jason as he's standing there, and the guy's sitting in the vehicle. And he goes to turn around, and Jason takes this knife and just stabs him on the side of the skull with it. And of course, because he's dead, he lets go of the steering wheel, the RV. And I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say, if I heard this correctly, they only had one shot, one take to do this scene of the RV flipping. So, I may be wrong, I may be right, I might need to go and verify that, I'm not 100% sure, but if that is the case, that is a cool trick, and wouldn't be the first time it's only been a one-shot take to flip a vehicle, because flipping a vehicle apparently is expensive. I don't know why, you would think destroying a vehicle would be super cheap. But, the RV flips, we see that little, that swamp box the budgetary guy won. We see that thing hit the ground, flip around, breaking a million pieces. RV scoots across, fucking catches on fire. Jason comes popping out of there like a boss-ass bitch, and he stands on top of this RV, just impressed with himself. Just like, oh my god, I am a renewed motherfucker. I got this like crazy-ass strength. I can teleport anywhere I want to. I am a god at this moment. And that's exactly what it looks like as he's standing on the RV as it's on fire. He is a fucking god. So, we then cut to Megan and her dad fighting at the police station, because Megan has already left the campsite to go talk to her dad and, you know, talk to Tommy, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, all that shenanigans. And, of course, you know, he's chastising her about being out this late at night with everything going on, and that, you know, Tommy's dangerous, she should stay away from him. And as they're arguing, yeah, of course, a phone call ends up happening, and Megan picks it up, and she's like, I'm sorry, the sheriff's not here at this moment. He's draining his lizard. Oh, wait, here he is. Haha. You know, this whole time when she's arguing, by the way, she's being completely playful. She's not being serious at all, because she's not taking this very serious. Because, again, she's a teenage girl. She ain't going to be taking this very serious. It's not until this moment she starts taking it serious. But as they're chit-chatting and everything, and he's listening to the phone call, it's one of his other officers telling him he needs to come down here because they found the bodies of her two missing friends, and this is definitely Jason's M.O. Now, I gotta laugh at this moment, because my buddy Bidwell, without missing a point, was just like, everything is Jason's M.O., okay? Everything but a fucking gun is Jason's M.O. Like, you see a bunch of kids stabbed? That's probably Jason. Oh, you see someone decapitated? That's definitely Jason. And it's true. Jason literally uses anything that he can get his hands on. Sometimes it's his own hands. Man's talented. Man's really good. But let me digress for a second. I forgot to make a mention of this in the fun facts. So, Bidwell made the comment, you know, oh, you know, unless someone's using a gun, it ain't gonna be Jason. I found out during one of the scenes they were working on, which is the you know, how did Jason get his weapons and shit, they were originally gonna have some, like, disgruntled army dude or something, I'm not quite sure, but there was supposed to be another guy, and he was supposed to have an Uzi. Yeah, he was supposed to have an Uzi, and Jason was going to kill him and take his Uzi and then gun down a couple of counselors. You know what stopped them? The fact that it was too realistic. That was it. It wasn't the fact that it was Jason pulling this trigger. No, it was the fact that it was too realistic. And I can commend them for that because of the fact that that's how a lot of horror movies are set. You know, we have like a lot of R ratings. But if the violence is too realistic and basically can be reenacted in real life, that's where you get to like your NC-17 and X ratings going on. Because yeah, horror is horror, but you want to make it as light and fluffy as you can make horror and make it not as realistic. So this is why in a lot of horror movies, you know, people are like pouring gallons and gallons of blood, you know, out their fucking necks. That's not really going to happen in real life, you know. This ain't an anime over here. But yeah, I just thought that was funny that they were going to give him an Uzi. A fucking Uzi. Could you imagine Jason with an Uzi? Like, I really couldn't. I really could. I can't imagine my favorite horror icons. Like, Imagine Michael Myers with a shotgun. And I don't mean like him just throwing one to the side. I mean legitimately walking up to somebody with a shotgun and shooting them. And I have to say shooting them because we've seen him walk up to somebody with a shotgun and impale them. Now take that moment and picturing him shooting that girl. And we all know what I'm talking about. If you don't, let me refresh your memory. Halloween 4, when they're locked up in the house, Michael's pretending to be that officer. He's holding the shotgun. She comes around. She's wearing Cop Dad's Do the Best t-shirt, that pink t-shirt. It's been a minute since I've seen that movie, too. But he walks up to her and then impales her against the wall. Oh, wait, no, she's not wearing the pink t-shirt. She's wearing that plaid t-shirt. She makes the comment about it sucks that the lights aren't out, because, they can watch MTV or something. But, yeah, he straight up impales her in the wall with a shotgun. Now, take that scene, reverse it, and make it to where he shot her fucking head off. Not the same killer, man. Not the same killer. And I say the same thing with Jason. Not the same killer. But, so after, he talks about the Mitch and Megan, it's just like, what's going on? What's going on? Tell me. He's like, oh, yeah, we found your missing friends. Are you sure Tommy's still a good guy? And he walks off and leaves Megan to stay in the police station. So she decides to balance on a chair. Do normal teenagers things. And that's what a normal teenager does. Tries to balance on a chair with one leg. But as she's doing that, Tommy's looking at occult stuff to figure out how he can destroy Jason, knowing that he's a supernatural entity now and not just regular old Jason. So once he figures it out, he calls the police station. Hopefully, I don't know why, by the way. Like, why would you want to call the police station, Tommy? The man clearly does not like you, wants nothing to do with you, and does not believe you. But you still insist on calling the police station anyway. Luckily, though, Megan answers the phone. And he's just like, I know how to stop Jason. Just tell the officer, well, where are you? I can help you out. No, it's too dangerous. My dad's looking for you. Everybody's looking for you. And it doesn't look good right now. So where are you at? I'll come pick you up. I'm at this grocery store. I'm on my way. And, she hangs up. And he's just like, Megan, what the fuck? Okay. Kind of having to, okay. Because there's nothing else he could do. She wants to come. Let her come, man. So she goes after him. We then cut back to Jason. Finally. Not there yet. I had you go in there for a minute. Yeah, no, he's still making his way to the camp. And, I'm sorry, I just gotta allow the fact that once Jason does make it to the camp, he does make it to the camp in this next scene. Takes him a minute, though. He finally gets to the camp, though. Like, straight up. After we cut to him walking through the woods so many times to him get to this camp, we finally do cut to him again going to the camp, and he makes it. And he looks so amazed by the changes. Like, he looks at the sign and goes, I don't remember Camp Crystal Lake being spelled that way. And he walks by, the sign. But he seems like pretty impressed with the changes. Like, I'm not going to lie. He seemed to enjoy the changes. But as Jason's going through through the campsite, like he's walking through, like straight on through, like there's no hiding in the woods, there's no like back roads, no, he's just walking straight through the middle of this fucking camp. We cut to the cops looking at the crime scene and seeing them taking the bodies away, and they eventually find the other paintball guy that we saw running through the woods like a little bitch. They find him hacked into pieces, straight up, and he's just like, dear God, that boy's, I should have done something about this. This boy is just trying to prove a point. Now, how far will he go to prove the fact that Jason's alive? And, of course, his cop buddy looks at him and just goes, excuse moi again. He does not say that. I'm on a burping fit real quick. But his buddy looks at him and just goes, man, and he picked the perfect day to do all this shenanigan too. What do you mean perfect day? Happy Friday the 13th. Just hammer in the fact that we actually have a Friday the 13th take place on Friday the 13th. Do you know how rare that is? Let's go back here real quick, guys. Okay, so the first movie took place on Friday the 13th. We know that for sure. The second movie, I want to say takes place on Friday the 13th. Or it could be before Friday the 13th. I want to say it's before. I think it's on Friday the 13th. The third one is a day after Friday the 13th. And the fourth one is 2 days after Friday the 13th. So there's been only 3 movies that actually take place on Friday the 13th. Because the 5th one did not take place on Friday the 13th. I can tell you that right off the bat. But 3 of them. Out of 6 movies, 3 of them took place. And that's just the first 6. Now I know 7, 8, and 9, and definitely 10 did not take place on Friday the 13th. Hell, 10 didn't even take place on this fucking planet, okay? But yeah, they had to really hammer in the fact that it's Friday the 13th. And I love that little wink wink nudge 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 thing. Like, it's really great. But then we cut back to the girls at the cabin, Sissy and Paula. And Paula's trying to sleep, and Sissy's eating her little popcorn, and she hears something out the window. So she goes out and looks out the window and goes, "Hey, who's out there?" And of course, Paula turns around and goes, "It's probably Court just playing with us. Why don't you prank her back, scare him a little bit?" She's like, "Okay." So she grabs a beer. She goes, crouches down to the window, sticks the can out, pours it, and I swear to God, it sounds like it pours on poor Jason. It's not the first time, though. He's had, I don't know how many cups of booze thrown at him, fucking cigarettes thrown at him, just weird things just thrown at him. He's probably used to it at this point, but he's had some stuff thrown at him. But, Sissy does that. She backs up waiting for a reaction. Nothing happens. So she walks over there, leans over, she's like, "Hey, who's out there?" And before she could do or say anything else, Jason straight up just grabs her, yeets her out the window so hard her little bunny slippers just fall to the floor. And of course, Paula hears this. She thinks they're fucking with her. And then you hear this muffled, scream. We look outside. Jason's got her and is picking her up by her head and just twists it around to basically so hard that the twist is so hard, he basically decapitates her ass. Again, superhuman strength, but people can't believe he teleports. But we hear that beautiful sound effects. I'm going to give kudos to the sound effects people of this movie. Fantastic job, guys. Especially during this scene. Because as Paula's out in her bed, she's like, "Quit fucking with me, guys. Just, don't wake the kids up." You hear just the the sound of the head being decapitated and gooey, rushing, bloody sound. It's a fantastic, nasty ass sound I truly love. So then we go to Megan pulling up to get Tommy, and of course they're arguing about, "Let me drive, and we gotta do this." She's like, "Oh no, no one drives my baby but me, and I'm here to help you out. They're gonna find your car and they're gonna pull your ass over. So once you get in this car, I'll take you where you need to go, and you'll get some supplies." And of course he concedes and agrees, and he hops in the vehicle and they go off to go get the supplies. We then cut back to Jason walking past the kids' cabin, and of course the little girl who was screaming earlier, by the way, her name's Nancy. Nancy sees Jason carrying Sissy's decapitated body over his shoulder as he's walking nonchalantly past the cabin. That girl's gonna have nightmares for the rest of her life. I'm not even gonna lie. So, after that, we then cut back to Tommy and Megan again. I'm assuming they already grabbed the supply. That's why we had that weird cut to see what Jason was doing. To let them know, hey, this is what's going on at the camp while they're getting the supplies. So we come back to Tommy and Megan. They got their supplies, and they're driving back, and they're arguing, about, what the plan is, what they're going to do and everything. And he just keep your eyes on the road. Yeah, on the road for what? Well, roadblocks for one. Well, I can tell you where a roadblock is. Where? Right in front of us. And she slams on brakes, and she sees 2 cops just blocking the roads because they're looking for Tommy. And she's like, "Hold on." And this is where one of the like cooler action scenes come in at. Or basically she puts the car in reverse and does a high-speed chase backwards, like it's gone in 60 seconds over here. And of course the cops are, throw their coffee down, and I'm assuming one of them probably had a donut. Jumps in the vehicle, they're going after her. And of course they notify her dad. They're like, hey, we're chasing a red car, the license plate's this number. And he's just like, that's my fucking daughter. Sir, what do you want us to do? Proceed with fucking caution. It's still a protective father through and through. But they're fucking get to one point. She does like a little 180. She goes back and starts driving really fast. She tells Tommy to put his head down in her lap. So I'm assuming to protect him in case they start open firing on the vehicle or something. And of course he's not complaining at first, because he's in a happy place. And eventually, he goes to pop his head up. She's like, no, keep it down. He's like, well, okay then, yeah, I'll keep my head down. Unfortunately, the high-speed chase doesn't last too terribly long, but long enough that it's still enjoyable. She tries to do the slick-ass, fishtail maneuver around this corner. Unfortunately, her dad's already there with the shotgun, with the barricade, and he's just like, Megan, get out of the car. And she's like, hell. And the fucking Tommy pops up from her lap, looking up, confused as fuck. Explain that one to dear old dad. So, unfortunately, after that, we didn't cut back to Paula in bed, and she's sleeping, but we have this fake-out moment where we see the bloody machete slowly walking into the cabin. We think, oh my god, it's Jason. It's gonna be Jason. No, it's Nancy, again, freaking out. She, for some strange-ass reason, so freaked out, she grabbed the bloody machete and brought it to Paula. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why a child would be so terrified and see a bloody machete and go, I'm going to take this with me. She could either be very smart or very stupid. And I say this because it is very smart to have a machete on hand in case, you run into a monster or something. But the fact that it's covered in blood, you would think she'd be panicking more. But of course she wakes up Paula and she's like, I'm scared, Paula. There's a monster out there and it's going to kill me. And, she sees the machete. She's like, oh my God, where'd you get that? It was outside. What's going on? And of course, she's trying to play this off. She's like, hey, listen, it's probably Sissy and Cart just playing pranks on each other. They're trying to scare each other. Well, why would you want to do that? Because adults like to scare each other. They think it's funny. Here, well, I don't take you back to bed, and everything's going to be okay. But what if they try to scare us? Well, we'll just scare them right back. And she, of course, grabs her little hand. They go to walk off, and Jason's standing out there. Of course, they don't see him because he's in the woods conveniently. But we see them walk off towards the cabin, and she gets her back into, towards the bed. And then we cut back to Tommy and Megan back at the police station. And they're arguing back and forth about, how reckless everything was and why Megan would do this. And, of course, he gets another phone call that says they found the RV of Court and of his lady friend. And they start arguing back and forth about, that her friends are dead and that Tommy's dangerous. And she's like, and Tommy asks, what time did this happen? What do you mean, what time did this happen? What time did this happen? What does that matter, you crazy kid? And even Megan's just like, Daddy, what time did this happen? 9:30. Dad, he was with me the entire time. And you can see he's thinking about that. He's just like, wait a minute. How could he have killed these people if he was with you? You are a good alibi. Don't get me wrong. You are a good alibi. But he doesn't want to think about that because then he has to really think on the fact that Jason's alive. Well, everything Tommy just says is real, and the man doesn't want to accept that factor. So, of course, they lock him up in jail, and he goes to take a look at the situation that's going on with the RV and head towards the camp because at this point, it's too many coincidences are going on. Way too many. So we go back to Paula as she puts Nancy to the bed, and she's like, all right, everything's going to be good. It's going to be all right. Just let Sissy and them just play their pranks, it'll be good. Good night. But what if I get scared again? Alright, well, I have a method that's definitely going to help. Close your eyes and say a prayer. And as soon as you open your eyes, the monster will be gone. Will that really work? Yes, it will. Well, okay, I'll give that a shot. Yeah, like praying really what saved her. It was the police pulling up that's what saved her, but we'll get there when we get there. So, she heads back to her cabin, and of course, the wind's picking up, and it's getting, really dark and, spooky outside. She comes in, and... Oh, wait, I forgot to make a mention of this. And I actually had to, I don't even know why I skipped this part right here, because this is a great ass scene. Like, I even had to make a comment about this scene to Bidwell. So, after she gets up and, says, say a prayer and everything, she stands up. Jason's standing outside at the window, and he's looking down at them. He's got his eyes on Paula. And what's really great about this scene, that it's in a slow, intense walk as she's heading towards the door, and we see Jason through the windows following her. Like, he is so intrigued, like, yes, that would be a fine victim choice for the night. I could not be so subtle about this. I can be very aggressive. Yes, fine choice indeed. And he follows her all the way outside, and of course, as soon as she closes the door, we have the intense fake out. Not even the jump scare, but the tense moment of, oh, she's about to round that corner. Oh, she's about to do this. Now, here's another piece of evidence that Jason teleports. So, Jason's following her through the window, right? Now, we could make the argument that Jason, at this point, could have veered off to the left, head towards the wood line. That is quite possible indeed, very impossible. But here's the thing. She comes out the door, right? Jason would have been exactly where she was on his side of the wall. Which, given enough time, which I think was roughly about 30 seconds before she rounded that corner, Jason could possibly, if he was quiet, which I, again, have concurred the fact that he's not a quiet individual. He makes a lot of noises. But the fact that she did not hear nor see him move away from that window. Granted, she didn't see him to begin with. We as the audience did, but we didn't even see it. But as she looks around, she hears the tree lines that's in front of the cabin. Not beside the cabin where Jason would go if he was to go duck around into the woods. Now, in front of the cabin, we hear some strange noises and shit. Food for thought. Food for thought. And again, this is one of my weaker arguments because of the fact that he could have possibly gone to the tree line, then made his way all the way through the tree line just to make noises over there to freak her out. But I still stand on my point. He teleported. So, now we carry to her going to the cabin, and as she gets to the cabin, she realizes she's still very much alone in the cabin. Sissy's nowhere in sight, neither is Carter or anybody. She doesn't know that they're dead. And as she's looking around, she goes to pick up the phone, realizes the phone's dead, and then realizes the machete that was on the floor, which, by the way, I would like to add that to my point of teleportation. How did Jason go from walking? Because, okay, you got to think about this real quick. He went from looking at them through the cabin, right? They left. They went off. The cabin's not that far from their cabin because they get there pretty lickety split when the girl screams that first time. So, and the fact that they heard her scream, which means she's pretty fucking close. So it can't be that far. So you're telling me Jason, and he could have, by the way, he could have walked over inside the cabin, grabbed the machete, walked out of the cabin, went to the kid's cabin to stand at the window, follow her through the window, and then veered off into the wood lines. Now, that is quite possible, yes, because of the fact that he's a very quick motherfucker. We have seen this in his debut of running, okay? He likes to quickly walk, okay? Not just run, a quick breeze walk. But it is possible that he could have quickly went over there, grabbed his machete, head all the way back, followed her, and then followed her back to that cabin. Now, first of all, what sense does that make? Like, just from a Jason standpoint, what sense does that make? You plan on killing her anyway in the cabin, bro. Why not just hide her in the cabin, Jason? Like, seriously. Why you gotta do this whole, like, teleporting thing? Like, why you gotta do this, man? Anyway, she gets to the cabin, realizes alone, the phone don't work, machete's gone, there's nothing but a little blood outline where the machete was, and then, boom, the door busts open because of the fucking wind. For once it was the wind, people. We can blame the wind on this one. So she slowly walks over there. There's a very good intense build-up of her about to close the door, and the wind, of course, slams the door closed for her. She jumps up, goes, oh, I'm so silly, scaring myself. And she's about to close and lock the door. Jason comes busting on in there like a boss. And all we hear is a scream as the door slams, and then we get this nice, beautiful, like, elongated blood trail just all over the window again, and then for some fucked up reason, Jason takes her body, slings her into the window, breaks the window, and then proceeds to take her out the window and do God knows what to her, because all we know is the next time we see that room, it is covered with blood from head to toe. Yeah, no, Jason had a good time on that one. Jason had a good time on that one. So now we're back with Tommy and Megan at the police station. They're trying to make a plan to escape, and they're mouthing to each other. She's writing her little drawing pad like, hey, what do we do? And we do this. Are you sure? Yeah, okay. So they start acting like a bunch of assholes to each other. It's very funny. I love this. You know, she's sitting there. She's drawing, air quotes around that bullshit. And he's like, what are you drawing? What's it to you? Nothing. I'm just curious of what you're drawing. There. You see? You like it? No. That's a terrible drawing. And she goes like, and she just throws her fucking notepad at him because he's antagonizing her. And of course the other cop buddy's just like, hey, you two, knock it down, keep it down, stop it, don't be ruffling each other's feathers. And she, like I said, she throws her little pad across the jail cell. And of course he grabs it with his foot to like lure her in, air quotes around that. And she's like, give it back, you jerkwad. Oh yeah, come and get it then. Okay, yeah, fine. She goes to get it. And as she goes to get it, he goes in for a kiss. And so she, pretending that, oh no, he's kissing me. That lasts for all of 3 seconds, and then she actually starts making out with him. Like, yes, Tommy. Oh, Tommy. And even Tommy's just like, what the fuck? This was not part of the plan? But he's going along with it too, and of course the officer sees that, and he's like, hey, get your filthy paws off of her. Come on, man, like, leave her the fuck alone. And of course they tussle, and Megan grabs his favorite little gun and points it at him. And he's just like, Megan, come on now. He's like, don't be stupid. Don't be doing this, Megan. And she's like, don't tell me what to do. Unlock the cage. Megan, this is just stupid now. I'm not the one with a funny little red nose. Now open the door. So, of course, he opens, he's hesitant about opening up the door still. And, of course, Tommy's, like, egging this shit on. And he's just like, hey, man, you better do what she says. Otherwise, wherever the little red light goes, shebang. Just a nice little jab from earlier. Just one more quick little jab. And eventually he ends up opening the door, and they lock him in there. And he's like, Megan, come on, Megan, come back. Come on, you can't do this. And she just walks the fuck out with Tommy. They argue about driving the car again. And she's just like, fine, I'll let you drive. But I'm going with you, though. I'm going with you. So as they're driving to the place, they make a mention about how they're going to stop him. And Tommy's just like, okay, guys, we got to put him in his resting place where he died at all those years ago. That's the only way we're going to stop this. Makes perfect logic sense. I'm not going to argue with that. He read that in the cult book. I'm willing to believe it. And I believe that in so many aspects when it comes to burying your dead. Sometimes, to settle their spirit, bury them where they died at. Makes them feel so much better about life. I don't know why. So now we cut back to Jason, and he goes into the kid's cabin at this point. And he's walking through. I don't know what he's doing in the cabin, or what he's doing, or why he's doing this, but he's walking through. I guess he saw the script and went, oh, this is a horror movie. Okay, be scary. Scare the kids. So he walks to the cabin. As he's slowly walking through, he hears Nancy, the poor little girl, she's having a fucking meltdown. Just and he turns around and she closes her eyes. She starts praying, like aggressively praying. She's like, now lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. And I should die before I wake. And it's just like, this little girl's having an existential crisis. And she's about to not only shit her pants, but she's going to have nightmares for the rest of her life and never go back to summer camp ever again. But as she's praying, Jason slowly, and this part when I was a kid scared the shit out of me, because Jason is standing above her bed, slowly leaning into her like he's waiting for her to open her eyes so he could jump scare her. I don't know why. I don't know why Jason decided to do this shit, but Jason decided to do this shit. But he is distracted when he hears the cops pulling up. Finally, cops are doing something. They realize something ain't right. Let's head to this camp. So the cops pull up. And they're just like, all right, guys, let's split up. Let's see what's going on. See, we can't find anybody else. Just stay on top of everything. All right, guys, break. And they all, like, split off a little bit. And he runs off to go check on Sissy and them. And he's like, girls, open the cabin. Girls, opens the cabin. It's covered in blood from head to toe. Again, I don't know what he did to Paula. I don't know what Paula did to him. But Paula needs to apologize because Jason fucked her up. I don't know what he did, but it looks like a Nightmare on Elm Street after Glenn died. It is fucking bananas with how much blood is on all over the place. But one of the other cops, he's searching the pier with his flashlight. And of course, this is a really nice shot. It's very dark outside. The wind's blowing kind of aggressively, so the lights hanging on the pier is just like blowing a little bit. And we know Jason's out in the woods, and he's slowly walking towards the tree lines. And the dude's got his flashlight, and he shines it right as Jason's pulling something out of his pocket, and the moment his flashlight connects with Jason's face and he goes, oh, Jason just throws a dagger or a piece of that iron rod he had from the iron fence or something, but basically throws it and hits the dude square in the head, and the man is thrown back into the boat and dies. First of all, Jason, kudos on your aim. You learned so much at summer camp. Really good with archery. Second, the sound effect when he threw that dagger was clean as shit. I'm not going to lie, just that. Loved it. Loved that sound effect. So then, after that, the officer is going through, Megan's dad's going through after he finds Sissy's, bloody cabin. He's checking on all the kids, and he realizes Nancy is not in her bed. She apparently had to freak out and ran off, I guess, to go find an adult. We then cut to another officer outside the camp, checking shit around with a flashlight, and he hears something, and then Nancy screams and grabs onto him. She's like, it's a monster, it's a monster. Whoa, slow down, sweetheart. What's going on? There's a monster. A monster where? And as soon as he says that, Jason comes up from behind the dude from the tree line. Now, again, more evidence of teleporting. So, let's do some calculations here. I could be wrong on the map outline, but I don't think it is possible for Jason to be by the pier and then be right next to the cabin. I mean, unless that distance is a little shorter than I'm assuming, I'm going to definitely have to get a map out and do some geographical location here and time this by miles and shit. But I'm pretty sure, about maybe 80% sure, which is still a passing grade, Jason could not have walked over there. And he had to teleport over there so he could be there really fucking quickly. But we can make the argument that maybe, the pier's closer to the middle than we all think. So he could have happened to walk through those woods after stabbing or throwing the thing into the dude's head and could have walked over there. That is possible, but I still believe teleporting. But Jason teleports behind him. She screams, runs off. He pulls out his gun. He's like, oh, hell, and he starts shooting. And Jason ain't having this shit either. So Jason just fucking grabs him by his head. Now, I will admit, I was a little disappointed in this one. I love a good Jason head squash. Jason has really good head squashes. Especially like the 1 in 3 where we see the eyeball pop out. Beautiful. Even though it's cheesy, it's beautiful. He crutches us, though. Unfortunately, we don't get to see any kind of cool visual location of like the like blood coming out or anything like that. We do get to see his body later, so we get to see, and this is where I said I'm disappointed, but the fucking reveal, the body reveal is just great. It looks like his skull was crushed so hard, you can see like the back of his skull kind of popped out and some brain matter just hanging out there or something. Like, it looks really cool. I like it. But unfortunately, we don't get to see the cool effect, but we get to hear it, and that crunching sound is just amazing. I just love that. Ah, just great. Fucking great. Again, kudos to the sound prop people for this movie. So after that, the sheriff then rounds up all the kids because Nancy ends up running into him and telling him about the monster. So he grabs all the kids up and goes into the cabin. He's like, all right, kids, stay here, stay safe, hide under the beds, and don't come out until an adult comes and gets you. And he runs off, leaving the kids to, take cover. And as he's got his gun, he's got like this nice double-barrel shotgun, by the way. He's going around the cabin, and of course he trips over the cabin, trips over the dude's dead body, the one that got his head crushed in. And Jason appears right behind them. Now again, more things of teleporting right here. The fact that we did not hear this motherfucker walk up. The dude tripped, falls. It's literally like a microsecond. He falls, sees the body, stands up, and there's Jason. We didn't hear Jason walk up. We didn't hear Jason breathe. We didn't hear Jason do much of anything. He just appeared. Again, tell me what other superpower makes you magically appear? It could be something else, but I feel like it's teleporting. He's teleporting. He teleported behind that man, though. And, of course, I love this shot. This is like a great screenshot. If you ever want like a cool like side-by-side, like, oh my god, that actually be pretty cool on my monitors. Have Jason over here on one monitor and have Megan's dad on the other one. Because Jason's standing there holding his machete and Megan's dad's got the shotgun raised up at Jason. And they linger on that shot for a minute. Kind of like a versus moment. And then Jason goes to take a step. Of course, boom! Blows Jason square back. Jason pretends to be dead as he walks up to Jason to make sure he's dead. Jason, of course, does the classic pop-up scenario like it's Friday the 13th 2 over here. And boom! Again, shotgun goes off. Now Jason's tired of this shit. So Jason's trying to get up again. Boom! One more time. Jason's still like, hell no. You gotta be out of bullets at this point. Goes to blow him again. Out of bullets or jammed up 1 to 2. Fucking sucks for him. He takes out his pistol though and he starts shooting at Jason with his pistol. And eventually Jason just stands there as one bullet gets him in the head. And he seems so offended by that. You did not just shoot me in the head, bro. And he goes to take off after the officer and Megan's dad takes the fuck off like, oh hell no, I ain't dealing with this shit. Like, Jesus Christ, man. And fucking Tommy and Megan finally show up. And, of course, they see the police are there. And they're just like, oh, my God, they're totally here. We got to do something. I got to get everything set up. And so Tommy is grabbing all the supplies, which is a chain and a boulder. Don't ask me where they bought a boulder at, but they picked up a boulder somewhere. But he's got this boulder. And, of course, Megan goes in and sees Sissy's cabin, sees it's covered in blood, and she freaks out. She's like, oh, my God, Daddy, Daddy. She went little girl mode real quick, real fucking quick. Like, she got scared. She got humbled. And then she busts into the kids' cabin. Of course, the kids, oh, my God. She freaks out. She's like, God, it's okay. It's just me. It's Megan. It's cool. It's good. It's good. We're good. And, Tommy's like, okay, is everybody all right? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to go back to do my thing. And, she tries to calm the kids down, let them know, hey, we're going to find my dad, we're going to get the officer, we're all going to get out of here, it's all going to be good, it's going to be great, don't worry about anything. And, she sends the kid back there, she runs off. And as Tommy is there, getting everything situated, he finds the cop's dead body. I love this. I fucking love this because this would be me in this situation. So he's up there with the boulder and the chain, right? He goes up to that first boat where the officer's body is. He's like, oh! And then goes to the next boat like, damn, I can't use that boat. We'll use this one then. Like, because that body's there, we can't use that boat. But, Jason's on the hunt still. Jason's looking for Megan's dad or anybody. And, oh, hang on a second. I forgot to make a mention about something real quick. So, okay, I didn't forget to make a mention about it. It's coming up, but looking at my notes, I thought I failed to mention it, but no, coming up. So, Jason's on the hunt looking for her dad, right? Megan is freaking out. She's screaming out to Kingdom Come, Daddy, Daddy, where are you, Daddy? And we did cut to these kids, the two little boys from the Indian story. And they're underneath the bed. And he's like, so, what do you think? I think we're dead meat. And I love these little boys because we come back to them again. I swear we come back to them again. So after the little boy goes, we're dead meat. Not only are these like fantastic moments to have, but this is like a funny comedic spin on the fact that we're hearing her freaking out about her dad. And the boys are just making jokes over here, just like, oh man, we're gonna fucking die for sure. We ain't gonna make this shit, bro. But after that, Megan goes to talk to the Tommy as Tommy's getting everything situated, and he's just like, get on the radio, call for backup, get someone. She's like, all right, got it. She runs to the radio, and as she opens the door, Jason has done put Sissy's head in this fucking car. Now, more evidence of him teleporting. Okay, so we know for a fact Jason has been chasing the officer. We know that for a fact. Last time we saw him, he was on the officer's trail. We even cut to a moment of him walking through the woods looking for the officer as the officer is hiding. Okay? So when did Jason have time to stop hunting for the officer, go back to wherever the fuck he put Sissy's head, by the way? Because remember, we saw him walk away with her body, not her head. So the real question is, where the fuck's her body at? We don't know. But you're telling me he stopped hunting mid-hunt and then ran over there, grabbed her head just to put it on display for anybody when they opened up the cop door? Like, when did he have time to do this? First of all, why did he do this? Is he trying to make a show? Is he just having shits and giggles here? Second of all, when did he have time to do this? Seriously, he's on the hunt. Unless he teleported. He teleported to where he had the head, grabbed the head, teleported to the cop car, giggled his ass off, put the head in there, closed the door, teleported back into the woods, and kept on looking. Or, better yet, he teleported looking for the cop died, found the head, thought, hey, I got a fantastic joke real quick in case he tries to use the radio, teleported back to the cop car, put put Sissy's head in the cop car, closed the cop door, fucking then teleports or walks his happy ass into the woods to continue his hunt. The point is, he teleported. And he's got a great sense of humor. Remember that. He's super powerful, super strong, doesn't know his own strength, can teleport, and he's got a great sense of humor. He's a win-win, ladies. He's a win-win. Jason Voorhees, you should totally date him. But as she goes to, open, like I said, she opens the car door and she sees Sissy's head there. She starts screaming again, like, Daddy, what the hell? Where are you? Daddy! We cut back to the two boys again as we hear Megan in the background just hysterically screaming. And they're just underneath the bed just... We're real dead meat. So, what were you going to be when you grew up? Just like accepting the fact that they're probably going to die. Love those little boys. They're me as a child. They truly are me as a child. But as, all that shenanigans is going on, Jason hears Megan screaming. And so Jason's like, hey, first victim. And as he's going for it, her father's just like, no, not her. And he comes out of his hidey hole and he tackles Jason and he tries to fight Jason. Puts up a pretty damn good fight too. Even grabs a rock, starts smashing his skull in a little bit. And as he goes to do another swing at him, Jason grabs him by the arms and then just pushes back on him, basically bending him backwards. it's like that bed trick he did in Freddy vs. Jason. He just snapped him in half. Now, what's really great about this scene is that I do remember hearing about how they did this particular death. And the way they did this was they had him lay in a hole they dug out and then had him just lay back. I thought that was pretty cool. They did a lot of interesting tricks and shit when it came to some of the death scenes, especially because of the budgetary restraints they had. Thank you, Don. I'm totally glad he didn't get his swamp cooler. So, as they're fighting and he ends up killing the dude, basically snapping him in half, Jason gets up and proceeds to head towards, back towards the main camp. Megan comes up to Tommy as Tommy is, in the boat, like, Megan, get back to the cabin, make sure the kids are okay, you gotta go, you gotta get out of here, it's not safe for you. And she's like, Tommy, you can't do this alone. As soon as she says that, Jason comes busting through the cabin door, scaring the shit out of all the fucking kids. They're all, oh my god, they run to the corner. And of course, Megan hears that her mama bear instincts kick in, so she runs to the cabin. And then suddenly, Tommy's trying to stop her now. Like, Megan, no, don't do this. No, Megan, come back. And as he's screaming, he goes, Jason, I'm here. Come on. And Jason comes busting through the wall again. And apparently CJ was very, very proud of this stunt because of several factors. He's like, 1, I did this in one take. 2, I did this in one take correctly because apparently he was dealing with going from darkness to light or vice versa. Like basically coming out of the house and to outside. And he had to step down and then go and grab Cook and pick her up by the head and try to squeeze her head. And he had to do all this basically being somewhat blind because again he's going from light to dark or dark to light and it's fucking with his vision and they only had one take, so he had to literally break it with his knee and then come out with his arms, step down, and he did that all in one take and he was super proud of himself. So good on you, CJ. But Jason comes busting out of that fucking wall, though, grabs Megan by the hand and starts trying to squeeze her hand, and Tommy's just like, Jason, I'm here, come for me, man, I'm on your leg. And, of course, he drops Megan. He starts heading over there, and as Jason's slowly descending into the water, Megan pops up and it's like, Tommy, no, don't. And for some reason, Jason stops, like, hey, wait a minute, that's a pretty lady calling Tommy's name. Like he's thinking about just going back to land and killing her instead. But of course, Tommy egging him on, like, come on, Jason, get your ass out of here, come on, motherfucker, let's go. So Jason, of course, descends down into the water and just disappears. So Tommy, getting everything prepared, takes the gasoline, makes a little circle around him, lights that bitch up, everything goes in flames. He's sitting in the boat with a chain, ready to lasso that motherfucker. The fire's around him. And we get this little subtle moment of, we see bubbles, like Jason's about to pop up right here. But we all know Jason ain't gonna pop up there. This is a typical jump scare right here. Jason then pops up behind them and starts grabbing him, trying to pull him in the water, and they end up tussling a little bit of a fight, a couple of punches are thrown here and there, and then Jason falls back into the water, and of course, Tommy gets up, grabs the chain again, he starts looking around, and then Jason comes back with a fucking vengeance, and he's on fucking fire, and jumps suplex, I should say, into the boat, snapping it in half, giving Tommy the opening to lasso Jason as they both fall into the water. And this is that scene I was talking about where they filmed it in Tom's pool, his dad's pool, and fucked up their filtration. This is the scene. They're under the water though, and they're tussling, they're fighting and shit, And what's really neat about this scene is as the boulder lands on the ground, we see the sign of the old Camp Crystal Lake. And it's literally like in part 2. I want to say it's part 2. It could be part 2 or part 3, where we see the sign and it's crossed down and it says Camp Blood on it. Love it. But as they're fighting under the water, Jason's holding on to him, and Tommy, quote unquote, drowns for half a millisecond. And Megan's standing there with the kids, like worried because Tommy's not coming out, and and one of the kids is like, is he dead? And Megan, of course, Tommy's not dead. Tommy's never gonna be dead. So Megan takes off running, jumps into the water, fucking dives head first, saves Tommy, comes up, trying to float back. Jason's like, oh, hell no, bitch. Someone else is dying with me today. Grabs her foot, tries to pull her underneath the water, and she's kicking and screaming, and Jason really can't do much because he's chained up by the boulder, so he can only, slightly look up here. But as they're duking it out, she gets a little bit away from him, grabs the boat motor, starts it up, and then just drills it into Jason's face. And it's like a long, repetitive shot we see of this boat propeller just all on Jason's face. And it's aggressive as hell. And we even hear the of his neck as, the propeller catches his chin or something and, pops his neck. Basically, snapping the dude's neck and everything. And of course, she grabs Tommy, and they go all the way back to the beach. She sits down, and of course, all the kids come running out, like, oh my God, is he okay? Like, oh my God, Tommy. Like, they don't even know the kid, but they know Tommy, but they're like, oh my God, are you okay? And as they're around him, she, of course, starts doing CPR on him and, giving him mouth to mouth. And some of these kids are lingering a little too much, but that's just me personally, or it's just say Bidwell pointed that out. And some of those kids are like, I wish I was Tommy now. But, of course, Tommy's okay. He comes up, coughs the water and all that shit. And everybody looks down into the water, and of course, the broken bone, the flames and stuff, and she hugs Tommy, and they're holding, each other really tightly. And he's like, it's over. It's finally over. Jason is home. And it's like a beautiful, subtle moment of, oh, it's finally over. This would be great. This was the final movie of the whole franchise. But it's not, and we all know this, especially nowadays. But we cut to the next day. It's daytime. The boat's gone. The fire's out. We go into the water. We see Jason just floating there, aimlessly in the water. And then we get an up-close shot of his eye, and it's still twitching to let us know Jason is alive and well. And he's angry and waiting for something stupid to happen to wake his ass up so he can come out and start killing all over again. And that was Friday the 13th, Part 6, everybody. Love Friday the 13th, Part 6. It's one of my favorites. Like I said, it's not the favorite, but it's in the top 5 for sure. It's a fun, campy, different Friday the 13th. Yes, we still have, the Jason killing and slaughtering, just doing his usual shenanigans. But I can give praise where they did things that had not been done before. We have officers that are actually doing something in this movie. We actually have kids at the summer camp. There's not any unnecessary gore, nudity. Yeah, there's over-the-top violence, but it's a Jason movie. What else are we expecting? Jason's very nitty-gritty. Of course it's going to be very violent. But I absolutely love this movie because of how campy it is, and how fun and meta it is, and it's just a fantastic Friday the 13th. It's a fun one to put on, especially if you have nothing else going on. It's one of those ones you can slip on. You don't have to watch the other ones to understand what's going on, especially with the fact that this is the first time we see Jason become Zombie Jason. And that's Jason we see for the rest of the franchise, the Zombie Jason. Because remember, guys, Jason was human. Maybe. There's still some speculation on whether or not he was human or not, because first of all, we have problems with his backstory, with the fact that if he drowned as a kid, why is he coming back as an adult? Which could be why they had the whole thing in Friday the 13th Part 9, that his mom used the necromancer from the Evil Dead book franchise. I was about to say the Evil Dead book. But from the franchise, the book, yeah, apparently she has it. And that's how she brought Jason back to life. Now, that still does not explain how he became a fully grown-ass adult. But apparently, he's a fully grown-ass adult. I don't know, maybe there's a spell in there that makes him, swap souls or something. I don't know. But, you got that bullshit. But then there's, moments of how did Jason survive certain things. Case in point, the second one, he gets chopped up with a machete on the neck. How did he not die? And the third one, he got hung. How did he not die? Like, there's a lot of things that, make you scratch your head, make you think, has he always been inhuman? But it's not until this movie that we know for a fact that Jason is dead and is inhuman and has super strength and teleporting powers. And he does not have super speed. He just walks very quickly. But teleporting powers. Definitely has those. 100%. Prove me wrong otherwise. And don't say Matt Pat again. I have my evidence, Matt Pat, and I'll be the damn determined to prove you wrong, my dude. I have evidence. And I think I gave a fair bit of evidence. Yes, I gave some that's counterproductive against my argument. But that's the thing about, trying to prove a point. You want to prove it from all angles, even the angles from the ones that, disprove your theory or whatnot. But I absolutely love this movie. I do recommend this. It's a fun summer horror fest. Absolutely love this. And again, that's why I picked it to be the last movie for our summer horror fest. And again, guys, I know I was supposed to have this out last week, but I wanted to watch it with my buddy Bidwell, because I know he loves this movie. And it's still enjoyable to watch it, especially with him. We had a good time watching it. But I think we're going to go ahead and end the podcast here. I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And if you're watching this video here on YouTube, please give this video a like, subscribe, and a comment down below, because you never know what's going to happen here. Trust me, I never know. Especially if you listen on Spotify, Anchor. Definitely come over to the YouTube channel. Not only will you have an excellent choice in my podcast, you want to see some visual nods and everything, you can also check out a lot of my gaming, all my fun gaming stuff, basically. I have a lot of horror games I like to play. I just recently played Oxenfree 2, which that was a fun game. I'm not going to lie. Enjoyed that one. And right now we're working on Security Breach DLC Ruin. We will have one of those videos out sometime at the end of this week for sure, and then we'll have the rest of them next week. I'm going to try to get back on a normal schedule. I got a little behind when it came to the Oxenfree. We had some shit come up in my personal life that put me back by a week. So, this is where a little bit of a sad announcement comes in at. Not like super sad boo-hoo, we're all going to grab our tissues and cry. It's just, we're going to wait another week, because originally the way I planned this out was I was supposed to get this episode out last week, and I was going to take 2 weeks off, because I want to catch up on my gaming, which is mainly Security Breach Ruin and Security Breach itself. Security Breach is going to take me a minute. Ruin shouldn't take me but a couple of days. But the point is, I need that time to catch up on these games. So I was going to take 2 weeks off to catch up on these games and then come back with... I'm not sure if I want to come back with a special movie that I have on my board that I've been wanting to talk about. Or a TV show, or if I want to do a movie ranking one, because I did have fun doing the Scream ranks, so maybe a Friday the 13th rank would be pretty fun. I don't know, we'll have to see. But that is the story for another day, so until then, my friends, y'all have a wonderful night, and y'all take care.